off at your local Famous Footwear or famous.com. Some exclusions apply.
Stand Up to Cancer asked leading cancer researchers to speak about why they do their work.
Two words come to mind for me. One is responsibility, the other is purpose.
It's just so inspiring to do research that impacts human lives.
Stand Up to Cancer has been a critical partner in advancing research for cancer.
Cancer research saves lives.
So please, help us fight in this battle against cancer.
Be a part of the team that ends cancer at standuptocancer.org.
From the DriveHubler.com studios, this is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
WIBC HD2, HD3, Indianapolis.
It's Query and Company.
I'm going to be keeping you company for the next few hours.
You are not going to believe the company.
This company. You're going to bankrupt your mama's company.
At least I have the radio to keep me company. On 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
So I got to thinking about this on my way in. And I know that, and I get that, and I appreciate that, and I respect that. Sometimes we fall victim to overthinking things. Sometimes we fall victim to making things more complicated than they are. And in my case, truth be told, sometimes I probably am even victim to, and I've tried to oscillate on this. I've tried to swing backward in the pendulum of life, right? You know, it is true. It is true that you, as you get older, you mellow. Mellow Yellow is still a beverage, right? Kurt Gerald's, who is in for Eddie Garrison. Dr. Pepper has its counter, which is Mr. Pibb, right? Sprite has its counter, which is Slice. Coke has its counter, which is Pepsi. And I guess Mountain Dew's counter would be Mellow Yellow, which is the Coca-Cola version, or at one time was, and it was big in the early 80s. Is Mellow Yellow still around?
Yeah, it's better than Mountain Dew, in my opinion.
Hold on. Hang on. Okay. So you prefer Mellow Yellow. And listen, when I was a kid, Mellow Yellow was a popular like refreshment at the Little League snack bar. Now, before we get into the Colts and before we get into the Pacers and before we get into the point I was trying to make here, I want to tap into this a little bit because we had, at one point on Sports Talk Radio, I made the point of Little League concession stands. And I can't remember if it was Eddie or if it was Derek Schultz or somebody I was working with that was unfamiliar with the bliss that is the Little League concession stand. So you, Kurt Gerald's, grew up in the Beech Grove area, correct?
Correct.
Did you have like Beech Grove Little League?
Yeah, Beech Grove Little League.
Okay, did you have the little concession stand at the Little League?
Yes, you look forward to it after every game. You got a little ticket.
Yeah, okay, thank you, right? And now, the ticket, when I was a kid, the ticket was the golden access. It literally was the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory Willy Wonka ticket that allowed you either, and the true, like, could not wait for it thing were the snow cone, the Astro Pop, which I'm sure is now illegal because it was basically like literally an Astro Pop in retrospect. And it's kind of one of those if you know things. But the Astro Pop is one that I'm like, I cannot believe that there was a lab that came up with this sort of confectionery chemistry, but B, that it literally was like a weapon, that it was allowed is mind-blowing. But nonetheless, I digress. And then eventually, circa 1981 or so, around the time that everybody was trying to get a Fernando Valenzuela rookie card in their Topps pack after baseball games or practice, the whatchamacallit bar was really hitting the mainstream, and a whatchamacallit and Mellow Yellow was quite the rage. Now, when you were and then the walking taco for your age group, I think is a bigger deal, but it was not around when I was there. What was the true delicacy for your concession stand?
After a baseball game, getting a cold Coke in like a little styrofoam cup.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then just like the Nerds.
What about the wax Coca-Cola cup? Did they have those? The red and white? Okay.
No.
Okay, so styrofoam cup with cold Coke, okay.
And then the candy or Nerds or like a popcorn. I don't know.
Nerds were big for sure.
Nerds and a walking taco, you are correct. That was the go-to.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So Mellow Yellow was was when it hit the scene. I don't know what year Mellow Yellow hit the scene, but I was a kid when I remember Mellow Yellow, probably 1981 or 82. If I had to guess, it became mainstream around then. Maybe it's been around forever and I just didn't know it. But it is true that as you get older, you get more mellow, okay? And I have, in my younger past life, I have been at times not as mellow. I have tried to mellow out some. And yes, you go through different things in life and perspectives and things that are offered to you that lend you to being a more mellow individual, okay? What we are doing here, this ain't neurosurgery, right? I mean, what we're doing here is you go down to Franciscan Health and you see those folks working, doing heart surgeries and neurosurgery. Those are heroes, and those are truly important gigs. This ain't one of those. I know that. But I try to be mellow. I try to be engaging and enjoyable and let people know that I'm aware of the fact that all of us have life at the fingertips, and it's a matter of how much you squeeze that juice out of life, right? And I went in today thinking, you know what? Here we go. Colts are on Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football, San Francisco 49ers, Indianapolis Colts. Awesome. Love everything about it. I remember all too well. That's actually a good thing. The first ever Monday Night Football game in the city of Indianapolis. I remember the Halloween masks. I remember Eric Dickerson with Bob Laming. 4 of them tonight. 4. I remember all of it. Bill Brooks juking the Denver secondary. Loved it. 55-23. Loved it. I remember the Monday Night Miracle in Tampa and Jack Black doing the intro beforehand. I remember all of it. I remember the game against Pittsburgh here on Monday Night Football, Al Michaels. And this is how the undefeated Colts will begin with the big pass to Marvin Harrison, touchdown Colts. I remember it. I remember some of the bad times on Monday Night Football. But Monday Night Football still carries a cachet. We should be celebrating. Here we are getting set for the holiday season within 10 days of Christmas. We are amidst Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah to those that celebrate. All of it, right? And the mellow me should be saying, Jake, take the blessing of what it is that you're able to do every day. Come in, take a couple days off from Eddie Garrison. Kurt Geralds comes in. He's got on his Blackhawks sweater, talking Mellow Yellow. Life's good. But I couldn't help but think when I was driving in that I needed to just let go of some steam. I needed to get out some pent-up frustration. I needed to voice concern that I think is concern that many people in Indianapolis may have. And it is easy narrative. It's easy radio. It's almost shortcut stuff to just be a flamethrower for the sake of being a flamethrower. It's tired. It's worn out. The Skip Baylesses of the world and the people that literally every day are like, I'm just going to find the opinion that's the contrarian one just for the sake of being contrarian and try to drive up ratings. It wears people out. I get it. And I've found that in reality, I just want us to all have fun and say, you know what? It was sub-zero over the weekend, but it's going to be 50 degrees coming up, and it's sunny outside right now, and let's look at the sunny, optimistic side of things. That's how I want to be. But then as I was driving in, I thought, I have a concern, and I need to unload and let it off my shoulders. And I'm going to therapeutically do it with the city of Indianapolis and ask for people to give me their thought on whether or not I'm out of line. Because sometimes I think to myself, Kurt, maybe because one of the challenging things about my brain is sometimes I have an inability to not understand why everyone doesn't see things as clearly as I assume they should see them. And here is my concern. Yesterday, towards the end of our program, and I can't remember if it was definitively said right after we got off the air or like in the last hour that we were on the air, But Shane Steichen confirmed what we assumed, and that is that Phillip Rivers will start at quarterback for the Colts on Monday Night Football against San Francisco. And yes, I know that Anthony Richardson is back and football cleared. And I do have a question about this, by the way. I know it's Anthony Richardson Sr. now, and that's cool. But typically, doesn't someone only start to go by senior once there is the possibility they could be confused with junior? Like Al Unser, when he won the Indy 500 in 1971, had a son named Al Unser Jr., but he didn't become known as Al Unser Sr. until Al Unser Jr. was then competing in the same arena as Al Unser Sr., and thus you had to differentiate between the two. Like John F. Kennedy, I don't know this actually, but when John F. Kennedy, John, as he was known, was John F. Kennedy his son known as JFK Jr. when he was a little kid and was saluting his father at the age of 3? Or was it not until he became an adult and got into the arena that then it was JFK Jr.? These are the kinds of things that keep me awake at 3:48 in the morning, right? But nonetheless, I know that Anthony Richardson Sr., because I want to differentiate so that no one's confused that the infant might be the one that's going out there on the football field. We have to differentiate that it's Anthony Richardson Sr. But Anthony Richardson, in terms of his clearance for football activity, that does not mean that he is ready to go out on the field and begin playing against San Francisco. And it is a very understandable question for people of, wait a minute, how in the world does a franchise that puts a 44-year-old quarterback that was teaching high school football the previous season and has not thrown a pass in 5 years, how is that guy able to go out onto the field, but yet a guy that is within that same 5-year window, a first-round pick of the NFL, needing more time? Well, the answer is simple. It's one thing to be 44 years old and take on hits or have such things that could precurse what an ibuprofen takes care of, and it's the other to be coming off of an orbital bone fracture. That makes me nauseous just hearing it. So I do understand that while his vision is such that he's able to get out there now and go through reps and begin, I think we probably forget it wasn't with Anthony Richardson, with the injury that he had, the freak injury of the eye socket bone cracking is the easiest way to say it, okay? That injury itself, I would assume, led to an eye swelling and such things that it was difficult just to even go out and stay in shape and throw the football and go through the thing. I mean, I would imagine that a lot of his recovery during the time that he was on IR was simply getting the eye healthy enough to open it and see 20/20 vision again, or whatever his vision was prior to the injury. So now you have set that back, and he probably hasn't even been able to work out and keep himself in shape. So I do get that from a timing standpoint, you need more time there. But this is my overriding point about where we are. Phillip Rivers is going to start against San Francisco. And maybe I'm being other than mellow yellow here. Maybe I'm being kickstart instead of mellow yellow. And I'd like to know if people think I'm wrong in this opinion. And I absolutely embrace and appreciate and respect if people want to tell me that I'm being completely wrong, negative Nancy, because I don't want to be that. I don't want to be pessimistic Pete. I don't. But the Colts continuously under this administration have painted themselves into corners by continually balancing between hanging on to small possibilities of something and also kicking the same can down the street. The reason that forever it took so long to address the quarterback situation and then eventually select Anthony Richardson in the draft as your quarterback is because they got to the point where they had to select a quarterback that year because they'd kicked the can too many times. They kept trying to Band-Aid it. And I know Andrew Luck retired unexpectedly. I get it. But oftentimes the best laid plans in life are those that were executed because you immediately had a backup plan. If you're skydiving and the parachute doesn't open, you better have yourself the auxiliary emergency parachute. And this administration, and Chris Ballard's done some very good things. He has. And they have this year, when they were 7-1, we were talking about how maybe they did, in fact, have a really good roster. But the most important position in sports is the quarterback, and the Colts kept nilly-nallying around at the quarterback position once Andrew Luck retired. And I get that first year when you had to go to Jacoby Brissett. I get it. That it took you by surprise. Fine. And they get some credit, actually, for even making that trade for Brissett just before the retirement came. But then, when the rest of the world knew they needed to address the quarterback situation, they kept waiting until the 11th hour of something's just going to fall into our lap. Phillip Rivers is just going to fall into our lap. Carson Wentz is available. We'll make a trade. It'll fall into our lap. That didn't work out. You know what? 11th hour, Matt Ryan just fell into our lap. And then they found out he could not play at all. Sam Ellinger, we'll try that, just fall into our lap. And then the Daniel Jones things happened, and then they put themselves in a position where they had to draft a quarterback in the year that Richardson was available, and they didn't move up. And in hindsight, were they going to move up for Bryce Young? He's okay. Were they going to move up a spot or not allow Houston to vault them for C.J. Stroud? He's a good player, but is he a franchise QB? Probably still to be determined. But they settle on Anthony Richardson, and then even that, they end up with Daniel Jones, and here we are. And it feels to me like now the problem you have, and this part is not their fault. It's not their fault that Daniel Jones got hurt. It's not. It's not. Part of that is just Indiana sports of 2025. Daniel Jones gets hurt. But the way they're doing it now, to me, feels like it's the same kicking of the can because, yes, I know, statistically speaking and mathematically speaking, they are still alive for the playoffs. And I guess you owe it to the rest of your roster, your fan base, your ownership, whatever else, to go for that. Fine. And I have nothing against Phillip Rivers. He seems like a super good dude. Watching him and the intrigue of what he can do was definitely fun. But if you think Seattle adjusted in that second half the way that they were lining up defensively and then stalled the Colts offense, which they did, what do you think San Francisco is going to do? The definition of insanity is trying the same thing repeatedly and thinking that you're going to get different results. What do you think San Francisco is going to do now that they have seen case positive? Seattle had no more idea than me, Kurt Gerald, you, JMV, anybody else, what Phillip Rivers was going to look like. And it took them a half to figure out exactly who and what he was and what his limitation was. And his limitation was, look, this guy represents the Colts throwing a Hail Mary on their season, and that Hail Mary is actually 12 yards because that's as far as this guy can throw. Not his fault. He's 44 years old. And he was effective, especially in the beginning when Seattle defensively was just trying to figure out where to keep Jonathan Taylor in balance, how to line things up, etc. But now they're in a position where they're going to go back out against San Francisco. Does anybody really think this is going to end up being like they're going to the playoffs? And if they get in the playoffs, does anybody think they're going to make any noise? And if that's the case, and I know Riley Leonard has less than zero chance of ever being a longtime starting quarterback in the National Football League. But he's on your roster for a reason. And the reason he's on your roster is because at the very least you consider him to be a viable, at some point, backup quarterback in a donut tire situation of a game to 2 games or a quarter here or there. And if that's the case, then you may as well give him game experience and have him go out and see what he can do in meaningful games, because and I get statistically and mathematically they're still alive, but are they? Are they? And so there is part of me, while I understand, and maybe I'm speaking more for if San Francisco were to beat them, and maybe they will actually go through with what I'm saying. But at some point, do you not look at it and say, in this season, we've got to at least see and start to inventory now what we have going into the offseason? And what better opportunity to do it than to go in and get Riley. And in no way, shape, or form am I sitting here saying on Indianapolis Sports Talk Radio that Riley Leonard should be the starting quarterback of the Colts, and let's see what we have and see if we can win with him. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying at some point, don't you say to yourself, we have to at least see what's there to see if it's even worth keeping on the roster for the future in emergency situations, and we're not going to know that. I don't know that you can assess that off of the one game that he just played in Jacksonville when you have the deflation of the Jones injury. And so the Colts, once again, it feels like they're going to put themselves in position where they're going to just kick this can further and go with Phillip Rivers and work it. And is he going to, at this point, don't you have to possibly or probably finish the year with Rivers? Because why would you bring a guy up from Alabama to play for you 2 games and then send him on about his way as a Kerry Collins experiment? But you're holding yourself back then, because if they lose this game, for example, for what? You're trying to win games for what? You're trying to see what you have out of Phillip Rivers for what? He is not part of your future at the very most for another 6 months, right? So for what? It feels like you're just going through the process at this point. And then in doing that, you're just kicking the can by carrying it out, because you're saying and you are implying at that point, well, yes, we are going to re-sign Daniel Jones or tag him, bring him back, and hope that he's ready to go in October or November. Because the other side of this, the other thing that the Colts have done, not this administration per se, but historically speaking, where they have not learned, is push in too early and get too aggressive before they needed to. And I thought at the time, and I still may be proven wrong in this, I thought at the time they gave up too much for Sauce Gardner. And I thought at the time they got too aggressive, thinking that they were a player away from truly contending and competing for a Lombardi. And while Sauce Gardner is a phenomenal player and a promising young talent and somebody you'd love to have on your roster, I didn't think that he was those things for this team to the necessity level of 2 number ones. And now you're in position where at the quarterback position, you probably have to kick the can again, because you don't have anywhere else to turn, and you painted yourself into that corner, because your quarterback of the future is going to have to be either Daniel Jones, who you still don't know for 10 more months if you bring him back what he's going to be, or Anthony Richardson, who if you bring him back and he plays and plays well, then now you've got a quarterback controversy, because you have to make the decision which of those 2 guys is the one that you're signing towards a long-term lucrative deal. Because you don't have another option, which is going back to the well of starting all over again. But that might be your best course of action. But you've painted yourself again into a corner, because if you look at the timeline of things, what happened when Ryan Grigson took over this franchise? Ryan Grigson took over this franchise and knew you had a quarterback whose long-term future in this town was in question. You had a young quarterback right there waiting in the wings. You had Dallas Clark and Ryan Deem and Gary Brackett, and very popular, very likable, very admirable, and very accomplished football players, all of which We're crossing over that magic line in the NFL of when you start to get uncertainty as to their long-term future. And Ryan Grigson, and probably more specifically, Jim Irsay said, we've got to basically wipe clean the Etch-a-Sketch board. And I'm not saying that that was the right course of action, and in hindsight, we could maybe even go back and say it was too aggressive. But you brought in Andrew Luck, and you wanted to have the timeline of pieces around him to organically grow together. They had success early, and then again, precedent. They got too aggressive. They went out and they started putting together and making moves akin to the Sauce Gardner trade. And they got too aggressive and they started mortgaging long-term health for short-term gain, and it blew up on Andrew Luck. And they went out and they got aggressive in free agency and et cetera. And this team right now feels to me like one that is on the precipice of history repeating itself in ugly fashion. Because if you bring back Daniel Jones and you want to sign him, then you have players that probably you've got to start looking at where they are. DeForest Buckner, Mo Alley Cox, Cam Bynum. Cam Bynum's only 27, but by the time Jones, if that's your guy, or Richardson, either one, is hitting stride, you're starting to get into that 30 area, which for a DB is a magical age. Michael Pittman Jr., Jonathan Taylor, Quentin Nelson. Your timelines have not aligned and added up, and now all of a sudden you're in a situation where you have to make the decision. Do you kick the can on that quarterback and just say, okay, we're going to give this a couple more years here, or do you do the more aggressive thing and perhaps the thing that needed to be done that Grigson did, which is set and wipe the table clean and start completely over afresh and anew? But you have to do it across the board instead of this guy's in his prime, this guy we're replacing with a younger one. I think they painted themselves into a corner here. Part of that is the injury. I get it. But it just seems to me, because of that trade, and I keep going back to not having a first-round pick for the next 2 years and having so much uncertainty at the most important position in sport, what I'm getting at here is I feel like we are sitting here in this cloud of uncertainty. And we are holding and grasping onto this thought that they're like, this is it. The 7-1 start is going to pay itself off, and they are legitimate contenders in the AFC. They're not. So where are we? I don't want to be negative Nancy. I don't want to be pessimistic Pete. I want to be mellow about it. But the more I think about it, the more it seems like and feels like there are so many questions of uncertainty about this particular team, this particular roster, and the timelines thereof because of a confluence and a mixed bag of times where they went aggressive, then they backed off the pedal and went conservative. And instead of just going with one theory and one philosophy with it, you have this intermix and this inconsistency of approach that has put us in this position of wondering where in the heck it goes from here. And maybe I'm just not smart enough to grasp it all. I don't know. But I'm curious if people think I'm way off base. Now, Kurt, having said that, you tell me, am I spilling too much doom and gloom here on a bright, sunny day where the temperature's starting to tick up a little bit? Or is there some reality to the reality check of, I have no idea what sort of flashlight I'm going to use in this hallway that seems to be dimming?
I think you're being a realist, and there's nothing wrong with that.
That's the hard part, is the reality of it all, right? That is the hard part. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Stephen Holder going to join us 1 o'clock today. Big show lined up. Scott Agness at 2 o'clock. I think Kyle Neddenripp might join us as well at 1:30 because a sad but important note in high school athletics that took place, and it is that time of year where some holiday tournaments are going on as well. But when we come back, the one thing yesterday that was brought up that I thought to myself, another interesting point that I want to get further into, and it relates to the Colts, and I'll get to it next.
I'm Mark Boyle, voice of the Indiana Pacers. For your best shot at better water, go local with C&J Water. They're Hoosiers serving Hoosiers, bringing cleaner, safer, better-tasting water to homes across central Indiana. When you purchase a new water softener in November or December, C&J Water donates to the Pacers Foundation, helping those in need here at home. Better water for your family, helping those in need at home and abroad. For your best shot at better water, trust the local pros at C&J Water.
Christmas Nights of Lights Drive-Thru Holiday Spectacular returns to the Indiana State Fairgrounds November 7th through December 31st. Synchronized to your favorite Christmas tunes and a million sparkling lights. Enjoy a dazzling winter wonderland for the whole family. Reserve your spot at ChristmasNightsOfLights.com.
When I decided to do something about my thinning hair, I knew I had to pick the right team, and that was We Grow Hair Indy. If you want the best results, you go where the pros go. That is We Grow Hair Indy. They are the gold standard when it comes to hair restoration. Located northwest side, that would be the Pyramids, building number 2, and a free evaluation awaits. You contact them today. It's WeGrowHairIndy.com or call 317-522-2995. Again, that's WeGrowHairIndy.com, 317-522-2995.
Marcus Morris here with Family Heating and Air. As we're reaching colder weather, you may find yourself in need of furnace service. At Family, we specialize in solutions to extend your furnace life. Call the Fix-It team from Family. You can easily reach us at FamilyHVAC.net. From our family to yours, have a happy holiday.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Family-owned Cynthia's Hallmark has gifts for everybody on your list this holiday season. One of the big sellers, the new DC UK Company ducks. These charming hand-carved bamboo root ducks with cute outfits and sweet names have been flying off the shelves. And while you're finding the perfect gift, check out the newest treasures from the Jim Shore collection. The snowman with the cardinal, absolutely heart-melting. And the Jim Shore Grinch sewing his Santa suit, with Max supervising, of course, is an instant favorite. Speaking of the Grinch, Cynthia's in Greenfield and on Allisonville Road carry the entire Grinch Light Up Village by Department 56. And yes, they also have the full Christmas Vacation Light Up Village for all you Clark Griswold fans. The beauty of willow tree figurines and ornaments are so personal and make such a memorable gift. Planning holiday parties? Don't forget my favorite, the easy-to-make award-winning Wind and Willow dips and cheese ball mixes. Your guests are going to love them. Shop family-owned Cynthia's Hallmark this holiday season. 116th and Allisonville Road, 96th and Lantern Road, 116th and Brook School Road, and in Greenfield.
Hey, Colts fans, Crown Royal is a proud partner of the Indianapolis Colts, and this season it's not game day without the generous spirit of Crown Royal. Whether you're at the tailgate, in the stands, or watching from home, Crown Royal is the reason and the reward for coming together. Grab a glass with the Crown Royal rig at a stadium near you, because we'll be sharing the generous spirit with fans across the country. Crown Royal, fueling game day with a generous spirit. Visit www.crownroyal.com/Royal Rig for more on the Crown Royal Rig Tour. Please drink responsibly.
If you or someone you know needs help putting food on the table, that help is closer than you think. The Fan cares. We've partnered with local food banks and organizations to provide resources for those who need them. Just go to 1075thefan.com and look for the banner that says Find Free Food Near You. You'll find a link to Community Compass with an up-to-date and interactive map that shows locations, days, and times for you to collect food at no cost, as well as other resources to help you through this challenging time. Find community help now at 1075thefan.com.
Progressive Commercial Insurance protects small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com.
If it's happening with the Indianapolis Colts.
Touchdown!
for the Colts, and it's Josh Downs.
Then it's happening on the Fan.
It's It's good from 60. Blake Groupie picked off by the Seahawks. Final score, it's Seattle 18 and the Indianapolis Colts 16.
Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The official home of the Indy Sports Fan.
Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The studio is pretty nice, is it not, Kurt? Each day in this new studio, the Hubler Automotive Group, drivehubler.com studios, we've got a little bit more decor, if you will. Now we've got the screen behind me. Let me get my Java House signage because of the Java House guest line in which our guests appear. Stephen Holder will be on that coming up 1 o'clock today. We now have, across the way here, you've got a screen that allows me to see what you've got going on, but it is so finite, to be honest with you, that I know that I'm older now, but I need binoculars to see half the stuff you got going on. You got a lot going on there on this screen. It looks like you're conducting surgery over there, right?
Yeah. We're learning, and now you're learning what we've been learning in here.
I can see the clock in there, though, which is nice, right?
Yes.
I didn't see a clock before.
Which I can make things bigger and
No,
smaller.
that's fine. Well, trust me. Now we're getting uncomfortable.
Hey-o.
One other note before we get back into the Colts. Coming up, and I'm excited about this, Night Owls on South Emerson. Are you familiar with Night Owls, Kurt? I believe that's a Beech Grove establishment.
Yeah, like 2 minutes down the road from me.
7:30 until 9:30 coming up this Thursday. Pacers and Knicks will be watching it, but we will have our Mick Ultra event, which is your chance to come out, get yourself a Mick Ultra, do a Papa Shot, enter into the competition, try to win the high score. February 6th, it is Miles Turner's old team, in fact, the one you root for, heading up to Milwaukee to take on the Bucks, and we are going to send the winner overall, the grand prize winner of our multi-stop Papa Shot tournament. All you do, come out, do a Papa Shot, enjoy Mick Ultra. You don't have to do the shot if you don't want. But come out to Night Owls, courtesy of Mick Ultra, from 7:30 until 9:30 this Thursday. If you indeed get the high score in the Papa Shot, you can get a Mick Ultra basketball jersey and get entered for the grand prize February 6th. So look forward to seeing everybody this Thursday night, Night Owls at 3535 South Emerson. So you're going to be there, right, Kurt? You are now.
I would love to be, but I have to do JMV's show.
7:30 to 9:30, brother. He's off air at 6.
Then I'll be there when I get off.
See, there you go, right? Easy enough. For the Colts, with Phillip Rivers, and no surprise there, I get it, with Rivers getting back in. But the big question that people had is that of Anthony Richardson. And is Anthony Richardson going to play? Is Anthony Richardson going to be on the field? And for the rest of the year, I think the answer to that is probably going to be no. But if there's chance to get him out, and in particular, if the Colts have already been eliminated from playoff possibility, which I would have to look at it because right now they are a game behind Houston. Now, Houston's remaining schedule, obviously they close at Houston with the Colts. But if there's the chance going into it, there is still statistically or mathematically the chance to get into a playoff. Which do the Colts do? Let's say Richardson is available. I'm not saying he would be, and I think it would be at this point a very far cry to think that that's a possibility. But the Texans, they got the Raiders coming up this weekend. They're going to, obviously, Houston wins that game, one would assume. So there's still a game up on Indianapolis, with the first tiebreaker being that they have beaten the Colts. Then they've got the Chargers in L.A. Say they drop that game. Now the Colts are in position. Let's say the Colts find themselves a way to win. And let's say that the Colts find themselves in position where going into Houston, and we're going to, for this scenario, say that the Jaguars are going to win the South. So now you're talking wild card contention. And if it's between Indianapolis and Houston, but then Baltimore gets up there to decide to play with things, and because the rules change in terms of tiebreaker once you start getting in to more than two teams. If it's a three-team tiebreaker, the tiebreakers change versus just like divisional record, conference record, etc. There's a whole laundry list of things there, right? But if you look at the scenario where the Colts and Texans go in, let's just say for the sake of argument that that's the possibility and the playoffs are still in play. And Anthony Richardson is available to play. I don't know that that's going to be the case, but if it is, do you go with Phillip Rivers because you feel that Phillip Rivers gives you the best chance to win? Or do you go with Anthony Richardson? And what does it say if Anthony Richardson is healthy and ready to go? Again, we're speaking hypothetically here. If going into the final game of the season, Anthony Richardson is available to play, and you need a win to get into the postseason, and you start 44-year-old Phillip Rivers, who has no long-term future with the team, and you elect to do that over Anthony Richardson, what does that say to Anthony Richardson? And while you may be improving your chance in your mind at continuing on the trajectory of which got you there and getting into the postseason or holding on to that or whatever it may be, what does it say to the rest of the league that this piece that theoretically you could contemplate using as a trade piece to get yourself some sort of draft capital back, not a first rounder, but some sort of a pick? What does it say when you're like, hey, would you like the quarterback that we elected to go with a 44-year-old high school coach over? These are all the things that I know it sounds absurd, but I don't envy Chris Ballard. But more often than not, Chris Ballard seemingly in the last couple of months when it comes to tactically figuring things out has gone with a decision or elected to go in a position that is further complicating where they go from here in a number of different areas. It just is. Right now in the wild card standings, the Colts find themselves by record tied with Pittsburgh. Again, the tiebreaker there, advantage Pittsburgh. But Baltimore's right there behind, a game behind them. Things get complicated there, and Baltimore finds themselves up there, and they now pull alongside. Then you get a multi-team tiebreaker situation, and that's where it gets really murky. It just does. Now, Rick Carlisle was on the morning show this morning with the Fan Morning Show, along with, of course, Kevin Bowen, James Boyd. Jeff not there this morning, but Mark Dykton was as well. He had something interesting to say in regards to what happened against Washington and now where the Pacers, who again, oddly enough, for as bad as they've been, they have still been interesting. But did that change a little bit? And what did Rick Carlisle say that raised an eyebrow a little bit about what happened last time out? We will get back into that discussion about the Pacers next, and Stephen Holder joins us 1 o'clock.
JMV here, and guys, you've heard of TRT, but you have no idea what testosterone can do for you. Once you start treatment, you'll wish you had done it sooner. Now you can take the TRT test for free at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. The place for guys to go is Center Gen X and Low T Center for TRT. The TRT test is free, not hundreds of dollars. The testosterone is pure, not compounded. Guys feel full of energy, not like they're still waiting for it to kick in. Get in now for your free TRT test. No appointment necessary before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. Guys, you're going to wish you had started TRT sooner. Don't you just want to know your level? Find out with the free TRT test at Center Gen X and Low T Center. Walk in before 10 a.m. or book ahead at fixmylowt.com. That's fixmylowt.com. Center Gen X and Low T Center. Get that free T test today.
FixMyLowT.com.
Hey there, Jake Corey for Surfside. Surfside, of course, we're talking about just 100 calories and no carbonation, oh so smooth. Regular lemonade and vodka, iced tea and vodka, raspberry tea and vodka, green tea and vodka, lemonade and vodka, tea and vodka, all in one can, or tea with a splash of vodka, lemonade with a splash of vodka. All from Surfside. Surfside, just 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar, and no carbonation, so oh so smooth. Look for it wherever you buy your favorite adult beverages. Now partnered with Purdue Athletics, it is sunshine in a can. Surfside, look for it wherever you buy your favorite adult beverages. Please be 21 and please drink responsibly.
Hook her up this holiday season, shopping for her dream engagement ring or a beautiful piece of jewelry. See my friends at Moyer Fine Jewelers in Carmel, the city's best selection of fine jewelry. Tell them JMV sent you. Hey, JMV, the holidays are upon us, and so is winter weather. This year, stay prepared and give everyone on your list the gift of peace of mind by giving a AAA membership. As a AAA member, you get roadside assistance 24/7, 365 days a year, whether it's a flat tire, dead battery, lock your keys in your car, and so much more. You also get exclusive travel discounts on hotels, rental cars, and even entertainment and events happening across the Hoosier State this holiday season. Now through the end of the year, new members can join AAA for just $50 for a 1-year classic membership and add an associate for free. Then check another thing off your list by giving someone you care about a new AAA membership. Use the code HOLIDAY25 online at AAA.com or when calling 844-GO-AAA-GO. That's 844-GO-AAA-GO or visit your local AAA office today.
Four Winds South Bend's Ribbontown Event Center will be transformed into a night of glitz and glamour for a New Year's Eve party to remember. Enjoy live entertainment featuring DJ Jellyfish and Naughty, party favors, appetizers, and a cash bar. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. Dress to impress and ring in 2026 with a party at Four Winds South Bend. Your entertainment escape.
Without an Advent clinic nearby, people suffering needlessly from chronic nasal congestion and sinus infections would be stuck with either Band-Aid or sledgehammer solutions. Band-Aids are pills or nasal sprays, and they're not true solutions. Surgery is a sledgehammer, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Because most people don't need surgery for nose and sinus issues, nor do they want a 14-day recovery. Our unique Advent approach can, in 20 minutes in our office, open your blocked nose for good, with only 1-day recovery. I'm Advent founder Dr. Kandula. Outside of Advent's 4 walls, invasive surgery is what they'll recommend. But here you will find effective and convenient in-office solutions to help you stop the need for Band-Aids and avoid the sledgehammer.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most insurance accepted.
Do you suffer from sore feet, back, knee, or hip pain? The Good Feet Arch Support System has helped many people find relief, like Tim.
I'm always telling my colleagues who have sore feet, this is the greatest thing. I'll even take my shoe off and show them. And I believe in the product so much. When you have something that works, you kind of want to share it with people. It worked for me, maybe it can work for you.
Or do you wake up at night with heel pain, like Crystal?
I would wake up in the middle of the night with all kinds of pain in my heels and in my arch. So I went to the Good Feet store, and ever since then, I've been pain-free. I wear them every day. I wear them when I walk, at the gym, when I work. They're great.
Get back to walking, working, and exercising, and imagine a life without pain. No shots, no surgery, no medication. You've got nothing to lose but your pain. Stop into the Good Feet store today for a free fitting and test walk. We're located in Castleton by the Fashion Mall, or in Greenwood, just off the 65.
Thanks to the Good Feet store. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
This is Chris with Absolute Comfort. We just want to thank you and your family for business that you've passed to us this year. Our families appreciate everything that you do for us, and we just want to let you know that if you have needs for your man cave or your she shed or whatever the thing is for a family member that you love, we just ask that you give us a call, and we've got some different ideas for you. Have a Merry Christmas.
Absolute Comfort is your Mitsubishi Electric Elite Ductless Pro dealer.
BullseyeEventGroup.com, the Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. Your Colts game day experience, the best it can be. Log on and get your passes now. BullseyeEventGroup.com.
Wednesday on the Fan Morning Show, the Colts have an off day, which is good for old man Phillip Rivers. And we'll take a deeper look at IU and their 60 minutes appearance. All that more at 7 a.m.
Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
On a Tuesday, and a good-looking Tuesday for that matter. You know, that's the beauty of now I've got the window I can look out, because I was always terrified when I would drive into work, because you know how Indianapolis is, especially like in the springtime. I think there were times I would drive in, it was this gorgeous day, and then I'd get in down to Monument Circle and park in our building and go up, and it was, you know, great building, great location, all of that. But our studio was landlocked. It was in the interior of the building. I look back on high school, and I think about my time in high school, and I don't know if most high schools are this way, but at North Central High School, there were a number of hallways that were the high school itself. If you were to look down on it like aerially without a roof on it, you know, there were a lot of interior hallways. It was like a grid. And so I think about the poor teachers that got into school and from 7:30 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon were just landlocked in a room and saw no windows, no outside world. Like, after a while, don't you want to see a little bit of what's going on? So we would go on for 3 hours, and I loved it. It was great. But I would drive into work, and it kind of reminded me of high school once I got in the studio, because you didn't know really what it was like outside. So I would say at times, I think, Kurt, like just out of habit, because it'd be 55 and gorgeous and sunny outside. I'd get in and I'd say, good looking Wednesday outside. Little did I know that a monsoon had arrived like an hour earlier, like one of those pop-up storms, and people are driving in their car pulling over because of non-visibility, and you got this guy on the radio saying it's like a gorgeous day outside. So I love the fact we got a window now.
Yeah, the old studio was a bit depressing sometimes when you come in. It was.
Notably because of the company you kept, right, when you were in there.
You had to look at Eddie every morning.
That's right. Okay, Pacers in action. Obviously, right now the NBA schedule is lull, especially for today. But back in action, taking on the New York Knicks. What a difference that a couple of months makes. That game, of course, coming up Thursday night at the Fieldhouse. And they need, you heard James Boyd there say during the break that the Colts are on a little rest and relaxation, and it's probably good for 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. The rest and relaxation time is also critical right now for the Pacers because of the fact that the reality, the low point so far this season in what has been, there have been a lot of low points. And again, not entirely their fault. The injuries have, and some of the injuries, admittedly, I do wonder if Tyrese Halliburton had not suffered that injury. And first off, I will forever be convinced they were going to win that game. I think people in Oklahoma City know they were going to win that game. And I've talked to people that were there. I was not. Shannon was there. And she will tell you, they were in a suite, and there were Oklahoma City fans, you know, the suite, an open-air suite, obviously, right, with the seats in front of it. And she tells me, and I mean 5 fans, I don't mean the entire temperate of the place, but that they, on a couple of occasions, the people in front of her turned around and said, yeah, I almost feel bad celebrating the fact that, like, we're about to win this game because I don't know that we win if he does not get hurt. I mean, like, I think everyone knew. But either way, the point I'm trying to make is this. Some of the injuries they have waded through at this point, aside from Halliburton. Obi Toppin. Toppin, it's a fracture. I get it. Aaron Nesmith, the McConnell injury at the beginning of the year. Furphy's injury. I don't know the severity of them, and certainly it is not my place in any way, shape, or form, nor my intention to question the validity of the diagnosis of said injuries, but you do wonder if they are giving themselves and affording themselves even more caution and waiting time of getting guys back this year, just knowing the realities of where they are. But the roster itself, you owe it to the guys that are playing to do, Pascal Siakam, McConnell now obviously playing, Ben Shepherd, Jarris Walker, Ben Matherin. You owe it to those guys to do what you can to put yourself in position to win games schematically and everything else. But you also want effort. And the reality is the Pacers are coming off of what was probably their worst effort of the year, certainly their most lackluster performance, and losing at home by 19 to the lowly Washington Wizards. And it seemed like from the very tip, that game they were chasing the 8 ball, and you could feel this lack of energy from the beginning of the game. Rick Carlisle from the morning show, do you agree?
At the beginning of the game, our level of everything has got to be better. We somehow came through the first quarter with a 1-point lead. We had a couple of threes that banked in, and we just had some odd things happen that positioned us to be ahead in that game. It was fool's gold, obviously, because Washington was just playing with more presence, more force. All those words you hear me frequently talking about, and second and third quarters were very poor, and we got behind the 8 ball, and it was too much to come back from. So plenty to work on.
Plenty to work on indeed, and that includes just the extended energy and focus, I think. And, for a lot of folks, I think the NBA in general, fans don't start thinking about the NBA until this time of year. Christmas to a lot, Christmas Day, and I know for a lot of people when the Pacers were making their run, the thought was, or the question was, like, does that mean that the Pacers are going to end up on Christmas Day games? Because that's, kind of a tip of the cap from the NBA of, like, you are relevant now. And, there was disappointment when they did not. We now see kind of why, because with the Halliburton injury, it has changed them so much. But I think that, the in-season tournament was put in place by the NBA to create some sort of reason to watch or discussion or follow along of stuff happening prior to Christmas. And for fans and for the media and for season ticket holders and sponsors, for so long, around Christmas is when you start focusing to, hey, the NBA's here as well, even though it's been playing for a month. But you want your team to be playing at a high level from the beginning. To me, and that's the thing I think that Carlisle is preaching there, is like, look, we got to have this more consistently night in and night out. Those that have played more often than not, I think have played pretty hard for Indiana. They just have not had, their attrition has led them to a point that it's going to be an uphill battle for them because of just sheer numbers and the mileage put on those numbers that are healthy. It is something that comes into play that I want to get to coming up in about probably 25 minutes after Stephen Holder in relation to Indiana football. And I'll explain what I mean by that. But Stephen Holder at ESPN.com, Colts, Monday Night Football, San Francisco. Anthony Richardson, the question mark here in terms of availability. We'll get into it with Stephen next.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Hey there, Jake Query for Chicago's Pizza and their 18 Central Indiana locations, 25 locations statewide, and, of course, started in 1979 right here in Central Indiana. I love any business that gives back to their local community, and Chicago's Pizza does exactly that. Wrapping up tremendous work, and we want to thank them for it, and helping out a number of charities for the holiday season. Chicago's Pizza, via their gift card program and through givebacks, have done exactly that in helping out many members of Central Indiana. And, of course, it goes without saying, Their lunch buffet is spectacular. I'm talking about traditional pizza, deep dish pizza, salad bar with all the fixings, fresh hand-rolled breadsticks, the dessert pizza, and a soft drink for just $13. That is a bargain at twice the price. And then, of course, the $25 family meal deal. 2 medium, 1-topping pizzas, breadsticks, all for $25. Chicago's Pizza has 18 Central Indiana locations. Find a location near you at chicagospizza.com.
Hey, it's Big Joe for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling. Tyler Swindle is the owner's son, and he's the one in charge of the techs who will do the work in your home.
So we get a lot of customers that are like, hey, I'm not going to be able to meet you there. Can I just give you the door code? One thing I always tell, like, anytime I ever get that question is, I can tell you all of the technicians that we have, if I wouldn't let them in my house, I'm not going to let them in your house. So all of our technicians are trustworthy.
Just go to PricePointComfort.com. Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Sat Vai Band, featuring Joe Satriani and Steve Vai. Two living legends, one band. Surfing with the Hydra 2026 Tour. Saturday, May 9th, Everwise Amphitheater at White River State Park with special guest, Animals as leaders. Reserved seats are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Satch Vai Band, an electrifying sonic powerhouse, part of the Jack Daniels Concert Series.
It's BullseyeEventGroup.com, the Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. Your Colts game day experience the best it can be. Log on and get your passes now. BullseyeEventGroup.com.
C&J Water are trusted by the Indiana Pacers and Indiana Fever to deliver quality water solutions and can do the same for you. Call 317-733-SOFT or go to cnjwater.com.
From the DriveHubler.com studios, this is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis. The Pacers are home to face the New York Knicks. Thursday evening at 6:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Stephen Holder is with ESPN.com. I was enjoying a fabulous pre-holiday in the form of my buddy Jeff Hester, pre-Hanukkah drink together that Jeff and I, who grew up together, do. We try to get together once, at the very least every 2 weeks, maybe once a week, and just find a cozy spot to catch up, solve the world's problems, keep tabs on one another, enjoy a drink. And I'm sitting there and everything's going fabulous, and it's just this great environment, great bar. And I look up and boom, right there on the television screen is none other than Stephen Holder. And I thought to myself, well, you know what, like 2 out of 3 on Ambiance ain't bad. But Stephen, I got to admit, man, you look very dapper when you're on television. And the Colts are always topical, so they're using you aplenty, correct?
Well, you know the Colts, they tend to make news in the most unexpected ways, so you got to be ready for anything around here.
Now, with that, in terms of the got to be ready, Phillip Rivers was ready in Seattle to an extent. I thought actually, Stephen, schematically they called a pretty good game for him. And I thought that they kind of did a nice job of playing within themselves. But as the game went on, I think Seattle just kind of figured out that it was not a Rubik's Cube, and it wasn't hard to figure out what you needed to do against that offense with its limitations. So, can they realistically come up with new wrinkles with another week getting ready for San Francisco, or did we see what we're going to see?
So I think that is a great question, and it's more difficult to answer, but here's what I can say. They did, I agree with you, they did have, I think, the perfect game plan. I know it wasn't sexy, and I know it's ridiculous to think that was modern football. It wasn't, right? But that's not the point. The point is to win, right? And they put themselves in position to win. Here is where I think the complication comes in. Take Phillip Rivers out of it to a degree. For that style of play to work, you have to get perfect performance on defense. Special teams has to come through. And all those things actually happened, and they still lost. So my concern would be that is a very difficult thing to duplicate. And ultimately it didn't work, right? It was a great effort, and they did as best as could be expected, but it ultimately didn't work. So is it now sustainable to think that they can do it again? Is their defense going to play flawless at that level and not give up a touchdown against one of the best offenses in football? I mean, I don't know if you can expect them to duplicate that. I thought that's the best that defense has played in weeks. So that was their apex, especially given the health of that defense right now, right? So you're missing your three best players. So I think you're asking the right question. I don't know if they can duplicate it. And if you can't, then it goes to what you're saying, which is that they have to do more.
Stephen Holder, my guest. Java House Peel and Port guest line, by the way, is where we find Stephen Holder. JavaHouse.com is the website. Use the code Jake25 for 25% off. Or use my code for the bundle. That is Colombian Coffee, Wrangler Energy, and the Liquid Science Hydration Beverage. Stephen, if with Anthony Richardson, and I know that you probably are, like at this point, blue in the face of talking about Anthony Richardson, but I want to make this clear for people. Anthony Richardson now with 3 games remaining for the Colts. Realistically speaking, Anthony Richardson would be how many games away or weeks away from being football ready to return to a game situation?
I don't think we know. I think you need to see him. That's the thing. It's an impossible question without seeing him perform, because what he went through is so unique and so unprecedented that we just don't know. I think he's cleared from the perspective of, he can't re-injure himself with that orbital fracture. I guess it's healed is what I'd say. But you also have to remember he's been out for 2 months. He had some vision issues in that right eye as a result of this injury. Is that cleared up? We haven't gotten a lot of straight answers is the problem. And so what we need, if they're willing, we need Shane Steichen to give, I think, some straighter answers on where he's at. And we just don't know that. And without knowing that, it's hard to say. But what I will say in conclusion is that one thing that will help us arrive at an answer is put him out there and let him practice. And let's see what we're working with. And I think there's a good chance, that happens this week. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I think there's a case there or a situation there where everybody could win if he gets back to practice, even if he doesn't play this year. And what I mean is the Colts can evaluate him at least. They barely saw him this year because he got hurt, and then didn't play and then got hurt, right? And then Anthony, can get some confidence going and get back in the groove of things before he goes into an off season, and who knows what happens to him then. So I think it would be great for everybody.
Stephen, of these quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson in current state, I'll use it that way, Riley Leonard and Phillip Rivers, which do you truly believe gives them the best chance to win games or move the football?
Oh, if he's 100% Anthony Richardson, and it's not even a conversation for me. Like it's not even
in his. I'm saying in his current state, though, where he is right now on the 16th of December.
Fair enough. I mean, without knowing everything, and I just made clear we don't have all the details. If he's good enough to play, and I think he is, if he's good enough to play, I think it may fail, right? It may not work, but I like my chances there. Here's why. Because you can now do things that you are prevented from doing with Phillip Rivers. Riley Leonard, while he doesn't have any physical limitations, he does have the knee injury. I saw him throw all morning on Sunday morning before the game. He's fine. Okay, trust me, he's fine. If he's out there, he can do more than Phillip Rivers physically. There's no question about that. But I don't think, in terms of the physical abilities that Anthony Richardson has, there's no comparison there.
But here's why I ask, Stephen. Here's why I ask. If Riley Leonard can do the equivalent of Phillip Rivers, okay? And for that matter, Riley Leonard is probably more mobile than Phillip Rivers. Then if that's the case,
certainly.
And considering that Riley Leonard is a player, I'm not saying a lock, but Riley Leonard is a player that has the chance to be part of your roster and your depth moving forward. Phillip Rivers does not. So why then Phillip Rivers over Riley Leonard?
So I know not everyone will agree with this. And that's fine. But I'm telling you, in my opinion, in my educated opinion, I think if Riley Leonard would have gone up against that Seattle defense, it would have been ugly.
Right.
The reason I say that is because he would have made mistakes that Phillip Rivers didn't make. And while it was painful to watch at times, this 44-year-old middle-aged man trying to do this, okay, I get it, right? That is what it took against that opportunistic defense. They got a lot of playmakers over there. They would have put Riley Leonard in a freaking blender, in my opinion. I have no doubt. They have not given up a touchdown in 2 full games.
Do you feel that's the same for San Francisco?
Yeah, I think Robert Saleh would make his head spin. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So with that, and look, the Colts are still mathematically and statistically in the possibility for the postseason, right? And I get it. They owe it to themselves to push in on that. The question is this in any way, shape, or form? Is this in any way, shape, or form Chris Ballard and or Shane Steichen wanting to make a push because they feel that is necessary, like Selection Sunday with the NCAA tournament, when they say, like, okay, state your case. What are your good wins? What are your, what's your profile? Are they in position, do you believe, where they feel like they may have to state that case and make that argument to ownership at the end of the year?
I mean, they may have to make that argument, but I think they're unrelated. And here's why. Because what's the alternative? You sit on your ass and just take the L, right? That's not an alternative. In fact, that I would think much less of them as men if they did that. I would think significantly less of them. You're doing what it takes. Now, we can quibble. As a fan, you can quibble about how they are going about achieving that goal of staying in it and competitive. That is fine. But I would not, as a fan, argue the fact that they are trying to do something, right? Because, as I said, the alternative is, well, you just take the L and you say, we suck. Well, I wouldn't respect that, right? So I think they're doing what they have to do. This is, I mean, ultimately, if they pull that off on Sunday, I mean, I still don't think they're a team that's going anywhere in the long term this year. But now if they win that game, they're really in it, and they gave themselves every opportunity. So I think they're doing the right thing in terms of the goal. The means of getting to the goal, that is for the individual to decide.
Has Tyler Warren started to hit a rookie wall?
I don't know, as much as I think circumstances maybe have gotten the best of him. And I mean circumstances beyond his control, like the quarterback situation and the offense just kind of in a lull. I do think that if Daniel Jones is playing, you're seeing a different version of Tyler Warren. It's just been tough. Now, I would say if you get Anthony Richardson back out there, I am not promising you that's going to happen, right? Just very, very hypothetically. I think if you get Anthony Richardson out there, now you're creating more matchup issues with a quarterback like that. Now you bring the read option to the table, and I could see bootlegs with Tyler Warren wide open. Like, there's some things you can do there. It's tougher with the limitations with Phillip Rivers, even though he had a lot of success with tight ends. I mean, certainly we know of one in particular back in San Diego who did okay, right? But I just think with the way they use Tyler Warren, I think it helps if the quarterback can sort of move around and you can get those matchups with Tyler Warren that they're not getting maybe as much right now. But I think he's been fine. But he's definitely been quieter. I don't put it on him per se, though.
Okay, Stephen, I'm going to take, for your protection here, I'm going to take Indiana out of the equation of what I'm about to ask, okay? But here's how we're going to do this. If you look at the college football playoff, you got Indiana. We're going to take Indiana out of the equation as a potential answer. You got Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Miami, obviously we know about, right? Oregon, James Madison, Tulane. I think that covers most of them, okay? I'm going to give you a situation for the Colts, and I want you to tell me the college football team that you feel has the same likelihood of it happening in terms of them winning it. So, example, if I said to you, okay, the odds that Phillip Rivers throws a touchdown pass the rest of the year, and you would say, those are very good odds, so you would say, that's an Ohio State. If I say, okay, the odds of Tyler Warren having a 150-yard receiving game, you would say, that's James Madison, et cetera. You see how we're doing this, right? So that said, let me present to you the scenario, and I want you to tell me the college football playoff team of the akin likelihood, okay? Anthony Richardson starts a game the remainder of this season.
Okay. That is a tricky one. I would say that is a
Now we do have teams like Oregon, Miami, and Texas Tech that they may have a chance, but we don't know enough about them per se, if you will.
Well, I'm thinking exactly that. That's why I said Miami. And I think it's because two things. Number one, we didn't even know if they were going to be there. All right, that definitely fits in this particular instance, right?
Okay.
With Anthony.
Okay.
So but now they're in play, so anything could happen. Okay, I just explained Anthony Richardson's entire career. See?
Okay,
we're done here.
Okay, number two, Phillip Rivers starts and or plays in a game for the Colts after if they are eliminated from the playoffs. So if they have, and it may be that they go all the way to the end, but if they realistically had a game where they have been eliminated from the playoffs, Phillip Rivers is still played as part of their team.
That is a hell of a dilemma. I lean towards saying they'd play him. I really do.
Okay.
But I'll say, but I'm not convinced for sure. So I'll say, I don't know,
So this is okay. I was going to say this feels a little like Ole Miss in the fact that there's precedent there to think, but at the same time there's changes and uncertainty at the top, and so therefore you don't know how it's going to go, right?
Right. I can make a hell of an argument in that scenario to say, let's say Richardson can't play. I'd say, all right, well, what the hell is Riley Leonard here for? right at that point.
That's been my question, right?
Because the reason for not playing Riley Leonard right now is the stakes are too high. And I agree. I'm fine with that. If the stakes then are different, well, then the argument is different.
Okay.
You understand? I would be on the other side of that.
Give me the odds possibility in the college football playoff. Give me the team that aligns with the odds of this. Chris Ballard or Shane Steichen are coaching and or guiding for their Colts future in the last 3 weeks.
I'd say, I'm going to say that would be Tulane. I think they're back. I'm telling you here. No one wants to hear it, but I'm telling you, I think they're back.
Okay. Let me go with one more for you here. You ready?
Yep.
Daniel Jones will be signed to a multi-year deal in the offseason despite his Achilles recovery by the Colts. What team?
Okay. I lean toward multi-year because I think they believe they'll get a better deal maybe if they can entice him with. This is hypothetical. They haven't told me this. This is just me thinking through it. Okay. If you can give him a multi-year deal, you give him security, but you're gonna have to make a sacrifice, Daniel, on the money, right? That's how I would present this if I were them, if they indeed believe in him, right?
So the odds of him getting a contract offer, you're saying are we looking at Ohio State here?
Well, I'll go Texas Tech. They're the 4 seed. So, I'm not all the way in, or Georgia.
Georgia, yeah, Georgia's a good one. Yeah. Okay. Because here's the thing. I talked about this last week, and I want your thoughts on this. Stephen Holder, our guest, ESPN.com, Java House, Peel and Pour guest line is where you're hearing his voice. It seems to me like there may be a little bit advantage Colts in this form. The only advantage of the Daniel Jones injury, Stephen, is that you are correct. This has now shifted the marketing leverage of a contract term to advantage Indianapolis as opposed to advantage Daniel Jones. They now theoretically
100%
can get him at a much lower price, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still going to be a tricky negotiation because the injury makes it tricky. However, it was going to be tricky before as well because it was going to be 1 year of high level, albeit really great performance, but 1 year, and there is still the old Daniel Jones, right? So it would have been tricky either way because at that point you don't have the health as a variable. So he can make the argument, I made your team relevant, right? He could make that argument, and who's going to be able to argue against that? Well, what does that cost, right? So here, I think he still has that argument, but your counter argument is your Achilles is busted, man. We love you, but it is what it is. So, yeah, I do agree with you. It's given them a little advantage because I think the one thing you have to think about in a contract negotiation is what is the worst case scenario? And the worst case scenario is we're wrong, and then 2 years from now we're cutting this guy, right? And what does that cost us, right? So that's how you have to approach it. And I think this will enable them to execute a contract that maybe puts them at less risk in the worst case scenario.
Mooney Ward and Braden Smith, what are the odds both of them are back as Colts next year?
I think Braden Smith, again, I'm going to be very clear. This is not me reporting this, projecting this, or anything. I think the odds are decent that Braden Smith says, I've had a good run. You know, I mean, he's been through a lot, right? Physically, mentally,
yep.
Well documented, right? Well documented.
And the same can be said.
And
the same can be said for Mooney Ward, right? And with all respect to him, physically, 3 concussion protocols this year, and then emotionally, the loss of his daughter. I mean, he's been through a lot as well.
No question about it. Now that one trickier because he's in the prime of his career. Braden Smith played fine this year, but I think he has certainly declined somewhat, right? I think Mooney Ward is a great player, so this one's trickier. But you are correct. I mean, you can't judge it just based on his play because there's too much else going on. Now, the early word, and I mean super early because who knows, right? He hasn't had a chance to get away from it and all that. I don't know. But the early word is that he's still engaged and still wants to keep playing. But I am not, I'm not promising that. I have no idea. But I do think, as of now, with limited information, I think he's back.
Okay, lastly, Stephen, I'm going to name the college football matchup, and I want you to Stephen Holder, immediate gut reaction, who you think will win. You ready?
Okay.
James Madison, Oregon.
Oregon by 3 touchdowns.
Okay, Oregon, Texas Tech.
I'll say Oregon.
Okay.
But I'm less sure about that because I don't know Texas Tech that well.
No one does. I mean, not even the kid on Landman, and he wears their hat every day. Okay, Alabama, Oklahoma.
Oh, man, tough one. Oklahoma.
Okay, Oklahoma, Indiana.
Indiana. I like them over anybody right now.
Okay, Tulane, Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, better athletes, I guess. I don't know.
Ole Miss, Georgia.
Good game. Georgia outcoaches them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your alma mater, Miami, and hang on, who's Miami got?
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Tough one. Miami by a field goal.
Okay, Miami, Ohio State.
But I don't really believe it.
All right, fair enough. Miami, Ohio State.
Ohio State, but it's close.
Okay, Ohio State, Georgia.
Ohio State by a smidge.
Okay, Indiana, Oregon.
Indiana. For the second time.
Indiana, Ohio State.
Again, for the second time, Indiana.
Kurt, if you could, please play the breaking news sounder. This just in, ESPN.com, Stephen Holder projecting the Indiana Hoosiers will be the 2025 college football season unblemished and undefeated national champion. Stephen, we're not holding you to that, but it's fun nonetheless, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going out on a limb here, but I think that's probably the most complete team. That's what I like. Is it's not like, oh, their offense is just really good or this aspect of their team. I think they're a complete team. And so rarely do you get that, in college football where what's the weakness? I don't know that there is one. So I don't know. I love them. They've been great. It's been great fun just watching them this year, and I hope the ride continues.
Have you watched Landman, by the way?
I have not.
One of the dudes on Landman, it takes place in West Texas. He wears a Texas Tech hat all the time. It is I'm like, that is the perfectly cast outfit. It'd be the easiest casting director job, wardrobing job of all time. Like, hey, we just need you to, a guy that works on an oil patch in West Texas. I don't know, Wrangler jeans, cowboy boots, a flannel short sleeve shirt, and a Texas Tech hat. Done, right?
Right. I mean, right, that's not believable at all, right? Oh, yeah, that was easy.
Easiest thing ever. All right, Stephen, appreciate it. We will be looking for the coverage Monday night now, Colts and Niners coming up this week for Indianapolis. Appreciate it, Stephen.
All right, you got it.
All right, Stephen Holder joining me from ESPN.com. Again, Java House, Peel and Pour guest line. I mentioned Indiana in the college football playoff and attrition. One of the things, and I'm going to get more into this as we get closer to it, but one of the things, if there is something I had to pick that is of concern to me in regards to Indiana, would simply be, if you look at the course of their season, and I know that Indiana, and it is not, look, I'm the first to admit, they continue to prove this wrong. And I give Curt Cignetti all the credit in the world. The guy is a maestro. And they continue to prove what I'm about to say wrong. But their roster itself, there is a lack of depth in comparison to, not a lack of depth, but, we talk all the time about, and it's to their credit, the fact that they don't have the 4 stars and the 5 stars, and Mendoza talking about it's not where you start out. It's not about your hype. It's not about those things. It's about the work you put in and where you are. And he is the perfect ambassador and representative of that program to win the Heisman Trophy. Because Fernando Mendoza, as a player, as a prospect, as a belief, as a testament, represents everything about Curt Cignetti and that Indiana football program. Everything about it. In every way, shape, or form, in a positive. But the one thing that I would say is, if you look at the way that team is constructed, and they have done a remarkable job of next man up when players have been hurt, and we talked about it yesterday with Don Fisher. But when you are now, even as good as their schedule was in the Big Ten, the Big Ten's no joke, I get it. They had a great game against Illinois. They had a big win against Oregon, and then they come back and they had to snatch one against Iowa. They had to snatch one against Penn State, and that was a remarkable performance against Ohio State. But the challenge now becomes Ohio State and Georgia, and for that matter, Ole Miss. I'm going to assume Texas A&M in this category. I think they have the depth to be able to rotate guys in to keep people fresh when you're now having to play power football for 3 consecutive games. Indiana's biggest wins of the year, and they have the two best wins in college football. Don't get me wrong, Oregon and Ohio State. What they have to do now that is going to be the challenge is put together 3 of those games in back-to-back-to-back weeks. And that's what's going to be a challenge. You've got to go out and you've got to beat the winner of Oklahoma, Alabama. And then you've got to beat the winner of presumably Oregon, Texas Tech. And then you've got to beat Ohio State or Georgia. And you've got to do it one after another after another. And I'm not saying they don't have depth, but it's going to be tested now more than for all of these teams. But it seemingly feels like, say, Ohio State can rotate subtly guys through and set themselves up for that over 3 games, or Georgia or Texas Tech, or Texas A&M, advantage to those schools. But you would be a fool to continue to rule out Indiana and their ability to dig deep. But they're going to have to do it now more so than they have at any point under the era of Kurt Cignetti, obviously. Something happened over the course of the week in high school football that was both, high school basketball that was both tragic, but at the same time can be celebrated. Kyle Neddenrip, our friend from the Indianapolis Star, to explain next.
JMV here for my friends John and Chris Love at Love Heating and Air Conditioning. Make sure your home is cozy and comfortable during these icy cold winter months. Need heating service? Tell them JMV sent you. If a repair is needed, Love will waive the $95 service fee. And should you need a new furnace, Love is a Heil Heating and Cooling dealer. Call Love today, 317-353-2141. Let Love and Heil take care of your home today, 317-353-2141. Tell them JMV sent you.
Hellsberg gifts checked off the list. Now, time for wrapping. Earrings for Mom. A gold bracelet to match the rings Danielle wears every day. And for Dad, a new watch, because we all know he needs one. All right, this is going to be a good one.
Our favorite things for your favorite people. Shop in store at Hellsberg.com for up to 50% off.
You'll get more than you expect with McValue at McDonald's. Like deals on your late night go-tos when the party goes till dawn. And savings on their faves. So date night always passes the vibe check. Plus, when the fam shows up for the weekend, you can show out for breakfast.
Enjoy a $3 sausage McMuffin with egg or egg McMuffin and pair it with a $1.49 any size Coke. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer.
Christmas Nights of Lights Drive-Thru Holiday Spectacular returns to the Indiana State Fairgrounds November 7th through December 31st. Synchronized to your favorite Christmas tunes and a million sparkling lights. Enjoy a dazzling winter wonderland for the whole family. Reserve your spot at ChristmasNightsOfLights.com.
The Fan cares, and if you or someone you care about needs food assistance, we have resources for you, including food distribution locations with an interactive map. Also, learn how you can make a difference for friends and neighbors in need, all at 1075thefan.com. The Butler basketball season is rolling along. Don't miss your chance to get in on the action. Your next chance to get to Hinkle Fieldhouse to cheer on your Butler Bulldogs is Monday, December 22nd, when the Dogs take on NJIT at 2 p.m., a weekday matinee. Come see the sunlight shine through the windows at iconic Hinkle Fieldhouse. With most students home for break, there are some great unique seating options, so buy your tickets now at butlersports.com/buy tickets. Be a part of Hinkle Magic and make Hinkle your second home this season.
It happens every holiday. Food comas, naps, piles of wrapping paper. Then Cousin John rolls in with holiday scratch-offs from the Hoosier Lottery. And just like that, the holiday fun is back in play. Hoosier Lottery, champions of play. Gift responsibly.
Marcus Morris here with Family Heating and Air. As we're reaching colder weather, you may find yourself in need of furnace service. At Family, we specialize in solutions to extend your furnace life. Call the Fix-It team from Family. You can easily reach us at FamilyHVAC.net. From our family to yours, have a happy holiday.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Thanks to Total Wine, you saved more on all the gifts for the ones you adore. Wine, spirits, beers, all nestled on shelves. Got some advice from our helpful elves. Oh, so many gifts to explore when you go to Total Wine and More. Bottles so delightful, whoa, whoa, whoa. Priced so amazingly low, low, low.
With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine and More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
It's a new season with a new QB. Football is back. And so are Bud Light Blue Fridays. Every week, join JMV starting at 3 for ice cold Bud Light specials, football talk, and chances for you to snag tickets to Colts games and get some amazing swag on us. And get in on the football toss for a chance to win a trip to Las Vegas for your shot at Super Bowl tickets. Join JMV this Friday at 3 at Whiskey Business North on Pendleton Pike. Bud Light Blue Fridays.
Stop just hoping the right applicants find your job. Sponsor it on Indeed and match with quality talent. Start at Indeed.com/credit. Again, that's Indeed.com/credit.
Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Thank you to Stephen Holder for his time. My buddy Andrew says, Jake, don't put out any negative vibes about Indiana football into the air. I'm not putting out negative vibes. I'm just saying the reality is this is going to be from and I hadn't really thought about it until yesterday. Like I said, you would be an absolute fool at this point to overlook or underestimate Indiana in any matchup. This Indiana football team under Curt Cignetti could be taking on the 73 Dolphins, and I would be like, yeah, I think they got a shot. It's just the reality of the way that they play, and I don't know that I've seen, and I talked about it yesterday with Don Fisher, their game plan of constantly knowing where the ball is, to use a basketball analogy, is remarkable. It reminds me of Brad Stevens' Butler teams. It just does. Butler, I believe, tonight taking on UConn. Braylon Mullins, the reigning Mr. Basketball in that game, guy that covered him and now has covered a new recipient of the coveted Mr. Football Award. And there is news to talk about in both sports from a high school standpoint with our friend from the Indianapolis Star, Kyle Neddenrip, joining the program now on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. You got spared, Kyle, because since we moved to the new location, we're still unpacking boxes, notably the one where you call yourself both lost and clueless, right?
Yeah, that's okay. I can. It's a holiday season, so you're being kind today.
That's right. Let's begin with football from a football standpoint. Saw it just within the last day or so. Congratulations and well deserved. But the Indianapolis Star, there is a new Indiana Mr. Football to congratulate.
Yeah, we awarded that. Miles McLaughlin yesterday. The Indiana Football Coaches Association voted Miles, and it was pretty. The voting was pretty much in his favor. I mean, 64%. I think 64.5% of the votes, and Heritage Hills. Jed Goldsberry had about 16. I think it's 16 or 18%. If I have to read the story again that I wrote, but somewhere in that range. So it was pretty lopsided. And kind of thought that might be how it went down. Miles had such a great run, especially the second half of the season, started to really get some national recognition and people like Derrick Henry even talking about him on various platforms. And, and to get, he ended up the all-time single season national record holder for rushing. So, when you get those type of that type of accolades and accomplishments puts you on another stratosphere, and definitely getting his team. They were one step away from making the state finals, but to get that team as far as he did certainly helped him as well. So yeah, very and he said talking to him yesterday, he did say it was a lot of pressure, and it felt like the weight of the world was on him at times, and but then he said it was in a good way. It was fun. And he obviously carried that team a long way. So I think, he's going to Murray State to play next year and be a running back. So, we'll see how he does in college. But But yeah, pretty cool story from a little town that had never had a Mr. Football before.
Yeah, and that's, it's funny because Knox is the town, right, or not the school. And I always assumed, like North Knox and Knox County is down south of Vincennes. This is the opposite end, right? We're talking about northeastern Indiana up near Fort Wayne, correct?
It's northwest actually. You're going towards Winnemac up in that area.
Okay.
That part of the state. So yeah, it's kind of it's Stark County, which they've never actually, the county's never had a Mr. Football. It's I've been up there probably 3 times now. It's quite a haul to get up that way, but it's kind of just, if you're thinking about the time zones, they are in the central time zone just barely. So they're up there pretty far up in the northwest part of the state. But yeah, we were in the school yesterday, and obviously a lot of excitement for him about this award, and he'll that's something. He's got 2 younger brothers, and they're gonna. It's something that their family can really, appreciate, I think, and enjoy, and really that whole community. Russ Radke's the coach there, and he's been, he's a 50-year high school football coach, and, talking to him yesterday too, obviously very appreciative of having a Mr. Football, having coached one. So, but yeah, pretty cool. I mean, he kind of came from the outside. When I was doing this last year, looking at the candidates for this year, he wasn't among the top 5 or anything like that. So, was able to get his way in there and then win it pretty handily, which is quite an accomplishment.
Kyle, sometimes, things like that, a guy winning a Mr. Football, doing it from a smaller school like that, a smaller community, that stuff brings people together, and they talk about it for a long time, and, it's cool, right? Sometimes communities also are kind of forced to come together in circling around or gathering around or holding together tight after something that is not always, as celebratory. It goes without saying. But sometimes the worst situations can bring out the best in a community and for a family as well. Tell me about the tragically sad story, but at the same time, maybe with a community feel to it, of Jeff the ref.
Yeah, Jeff Tamari passed away Friday night. Was refereeing a game at Monrovia girls game against Speedway, and in the second quarter of that game, collapsed and passed away. And I talked to several referees that night. Ended up talking to his family, his daughter, one of his daughters, his ex-wife, his sister.
He was in his early 60s, correct?
Yeah, 63. Okay. Would have been 64 next month, actually. So yeah, he was 63. Had a, he was an athletic guy. He was a Perry Meridian graduate. Was a swimmer there, actually. And, went on and he refereed. He did all these, not only high school basketball, but he was, if you talk to some of the refs and umpires he worked with, was a really good baseball umpire. I talked to Kevin Brown, who umpired with him, and he said he was just a fantastic baseball umpire. Should have been in the state finals. That type of umpire. Did a lot of high school football and basketball as well. And then started doing a lot of youth games. And that was sort of where the Jeff the Ref moniker came from. And he got to know these kids up at Zionsville Youth League and other leagues that he did at Greenwood. He lived in Greenwood, and had I talked to his a lot of his closer friends in the umpiring and refereeing world as well. But yeah, just had a way about him that I think kids were just kind of drawn to him. He was always very positive guy, positive as far as teaching kids, not being just someone who's there just to be there, and we've all seen that at times, whether it's, umpiring or reffing or whatever, you're just kind of there, just to be there, but he sort of went out of his way to, correct a shot or tell a kid, hey, you traveled on that, watch, don't do that again, stuff like that. And, so I think that was just kind of the way he was. Kids really were sort of drawn to him that way. And I've heard from so many people, either social media or, who have had a good experience with them. And, obviously, like you said, the whole situation, no matter, who it happened to on Friday night was, you feel for those people who were there and the kids who were watching that happen. It's something they'll never forget, anyone who was there that night. So, regardless of Jeff, the person, just being in that moment is something they're going to carry with them as well. But yeah, I also wanted to tell the story about who he was and tried to do that from, talking to his family and his, people who knew him from the refereeing world. But yeah, just like I said, it's just a sad situation, but I think some people definitely feel better having, read more about him or heard more about him or talked more about him, including his family. I think it was, from talking to his family Saturday and Sunday, just to, kind of talk about him, I think is helpful sometimes. So yeah.
Kyle, the, for it itself, I guess two things here on this real quick to kind of put a tie on all of it. The first is we still don't know because I understand that it's probably almost bordering on invasive to ask, but for, if someone is refereeing games, they obviously have an interest in young people and helping young people progress and learning, learning the game, teaching the game, things like that. And one thing I've learned about high school officials of note, I've been around and had the pleasure to meet some of them. Many of them do it because they love being around high school kids and athletics and teaching the game and watching the game and being a fan of the game and of young people's appreciation of the game. And so they lend their time for that. They ain't doing it to be rich, right? I mean, they're doing it for a love of the growth of the game. So in that spirit, there possibly from a health standpoint could be something that people could learn from this tragedy of Jeff, but we don't know yet what it was that was the cause of this, correct?
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where it's, I can't, because I don't know for sure. And
correct. I understand.
There's some, the way it happened would lead you to think it was a heart situation, but yeah, we don't know for sure exactly. So, and I don't want to speak out of turn, to the family or whatever.
Yeah, nor was I asking. My point simply being there is not, because the natural thing people hearing it would think, especially with my initiatives towards heart health and things like that, is, hey, was there something with which we can learn or be aware? And the short answer of that is at this point, there is not a definitive known cause as to what could have caused this and possibly other health complications that we're unaware. But there is no definitive answer is what I wanted to get at. The other is, how was it handled in the moment by Monrovia or by just administrators there to kind of help kids through this?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to John Regatius, the Monrovia AD that night, and, and everyone I talked to, including him, said, they did everything possible. The EMTs, the emergency personnel were there quickly, and people came out of the bleachers to help, who were qualified, and they got the kids out. They got the kids to the locker room, and they had everything there on site to do the best they could in that situation, and so I don't, and the family told me that too, and they, they felt like. Everything possible was done to try to make, to try to help Jeff out, and it just didn't happen. So, so I think they were ready. I think there's been things happen in the past, just generally around the country to make high schools more ready for situations like this. So I think that helped, but honestly, it's so sad because it just, you didn't get a positive outcome out of it. And, I know the Monrovia team got together on Saturday. They were supposed to play actually on Saturday morning against Tri-West. They obviously canceled that game because of this situation, but they did get together. They had breakfast together. They wanted to make sure the girls weren't just at home, by themselves. So they did get together at least. And I know they were, planning to get back to school today. I think they had yesterday off because of weather, but yeah, I'm sure, for those girls too, it's something you'll never forget, obviously. But, I think the fact that they were able to be together as much as they could and they're going to get a chance to continue their season and, the girls from Speedway too. And, hopefully there's something positive. They're going to finish this game at some point. I can't remember when they'll play again, but I'm sure that'll be something with the teams back together again. That can be some sort of a healing too. But yeah, from a standpoint of doing everything they could in the moment, everything I've heard it was real. Even like I said, from the family too, was real positive on that front.
Kyle, appreciate the time today, and also, letting everybody know about that story, but more about Jeff, you know what I mean, to let people know via the Indianapolis Star what kind of guy he was, the dedication he had towards sports and multi-sports, and helping out with his expertise in officiating. Appreciate the time today, man.
For sure. Thanks, Jake.
All right, Kyle Neddenriep joining me on the Job House Peel and Port Gas Line. Speaking of high school basketball and football, by the way, doubleheader coming up at the Coliseum. Holiday tournaments galore, right? And we always love them. There's a new one coming up at the Coliseum. I'll tell you about that on the other side. Scott Agness, top of the hour.
Treat yourself with a new watch from Moyer Fine Jewelers in Carmel. They have over 20 watch brands, including Omega, Breitling, Hublot, and the Midwest best selection of pre-owned watches. Tell them JMV sent you. It's JMV for BullseyeEventGroup.com, the Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. All you can eat, all you can drink. Before each Colts home game, make your game day experience the best it can be. Entertained inside the Bullseye Event Center, and the great food from celebrity chef Kelsey Murphy. That and more, and combo up your passes with tickets to the game. That's the BullseyeEventGroup.com Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. Get your passes now. BullseyeEventGroup.com.
When the new year hits, every business could use a little something to stay ahead. A lift, a jump start, an edge, or perhaps a boost. Like the all-new 5-year business boost from Comcast Business. It's the certainty of a price lock for 5 years on qualifying internet bundles. Plus, you'll have the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment, so your whole team can stay connected at a great rate. And to sweeten the deal, ask about a $500 prepaid card when you add 2 lines of mobile. It's the boost your business deserves. So sign up for the 5-year business boost and get a 5-year price lock on ultra-reliable Wi-Fi. Plus, ask about a $500 prepaid card. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 2/22/26, new customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees. Best Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
My husband's an animal in bed.
Well,
Not in the fun way. Think warthog. With a chainsaw.
Snoring and sleep apnea affect over 90 million people, and 1 out of 4 couples sleep in separate rooms. Advent can help. We've been your one-stop solution for nasal congestion, snoring, and sleep apnea for over 20 years. Unlike many other practices, we focus exclusively on these conditions, so you get comprehensive care under one roof. Advent's unique approach can help you breathe and sleep better, and many avoid a CPAP. Plus, most insurance is accepted for our effective 20-minute in-office treatments.
Hey, the only animal you want in your bed is your dog.
Advent. Sleep better. Sleep together. Learn how you can improve your life at adventknows.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Are you looking for a job where you can have a ton of fun and make great money? Twin Peaks is the team for you. They're looking for Twin Peaks girls, cooks, bussers, barbacks, and more. Text WORK, the number 4 TP to 85,000 to apply.
This is Jim with Jim's Heating and Air Conditioning. If you need help in Boone County or Hamilton County, give us a call.
Just go to jimsheating-air.com. Jim's Heating and Air Conditioning is your trusted local independent American Standard air dealer.
The Butler Bulldogs hit the road to take on the Connecticut Huskies. Tonight at 8 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Thank you to this information I was just passed along, by the way. The game that Kyle was talking about between Monrovia and Speedway will be played January 24th with no admission, but people will be able to make a contribution to Jeff's family after the tragedy that took place there with him passing during that game, and they did not complete the game. So thank you for that information. Did want to mention, by the way, holiday tournaments. I know people love like the holiday tournaments. One of the fun things about this time of year, especially from a high school basketball standpoint, those that take place. New one now at the Coliseum, talking about the Fairgrounds Coliseum. Going to be taking place this Saturday. This Saturday, it is the Breakaway Classic. Girls and boys doubleheader. The girls, it is Bloomington South, Chatard, Floyd Central, and McCutcheon. The boys then getting underway at 6 o'clock. So this is all-day basketball. Girls starting at noon. Then the boys at 6 o'clock. It is Brebeuf and Fort Wayne Lures and Avon and Harrison. Those games all taking place. So that is very cool getting underway at the Coliseum. I like all the venues. It goes without saying, Newcastle is obviously fabulous. Hinkle is fantastic. But the Coliseum's cool just for the historic aspect of it from both the ABA standpoint, and then it goes without saying, you get the Beatles. I totally understand and get and appreciate and have been to several times the Fishers Event Center, and I have thoroughly enjoyed every time I've been up there. I think everybody knows I really enjoy the volleyball and watching the Indy Ignite. The Indy Fuel, it is a beautiful venue. There's not a bad seat in the house. I went to the Fuel season opener. I always have a good time when I go there. But I do miss hockey in the Coliseum because, as my buddy Don Smith says, it's just a good old hockey barn. And there is some truth to that. And it's right next to the swine barn, too, for the State Fair, if you want to be honest. All right, Scott Agness going to join us, Fieldhouse Files. Pacers back in action Thursday night, taking on the Knicks. They are coming off of what is probably their most disappointing outing of the season against Washington. But are they starting to round into seeing some get back in the mix? We'll ask and explain next.
Welcome to Wawa. We're open 24/7, so when the sun goes down but everyone's still up, Wawa has your late night fuel. Headed to a hangout? Stop in for snacks and sodas. Binge your favorite shows with burgers and hoagies. Gather around the table with garlic knots and a cheesy Wawa pizza. Or just chill on the couch with fries and whatever milkshake sounds good. Your night just got a whole lot tastier. Freshly made burgers, pizza, and so much more. When you got a late night craving, you got a Wawa. Price and participation may vary by store.
This Christmas, get a bonus AI Essentials course when you enroll in any My Computer Career IT program by the end of the year. That's a $3,900 value. Attend classes online or on campus. Enjoy lifetime job placement support and IT certifications in high demand. Go to mycomputercareer.edu today and take the free career evaluation. That's mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Conditions apply to AI offer and financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill.
Xfinity is the network you can rely on. Like a close friend who will give it to you straight. The friend who will tell you that new haircut, it's not great. Friends make sure friends get good haircuts. And Xfinity makes sure you get a good deal on Wi-Fi. Xfinity gives you reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi at our best price. This holiday season through January 4th, get gig speed Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 whole years. No strings, no commitments. Just super fast, reliable gig speed Wi-Fi with our best equipment and unlimited data included. Save yourself from questionable decisions and save over Verizon and AT&T. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Internet powered by fiber and connected to premises by coaxial cable. Actual speeds vary.
Hellsberg gifts checked off the list. Now, time for wrapping. Earrings for mom. A gold bracelet to match the rings Danielle wears every day. And for Dad, a new watch, because we all know he needs one. All right, this is going to be a good one.
Our favorite things for your favorite people. Shop in store at Hellsberg.com for up to 50% off.
Food insecurity is an urgent problem, one that impacts real Hoosiers. You can help today. Gleaners needs donations. Your contribution goes further with Gleaners. For every $10 you give, Gleaners leverages their resources to turn your $10 into $90 worth of groceries for families who desperately need help right now. Your gift benefits local community members, and every dollar counts. Gleaners also needs volunteers now to help with warehouse distribution. Go to gleaners.org and donate or get involved today.
With Wawa's rewards program, you can rack up points on the items you buy every day, even fuel. Boost your totals with a breakfast sizzly. Score points with your morning coffee. With Wawa Rewards, points put the power in your hands. You can choose to redeem them for what you love most, like an iced latte for an extra pick-me-up or your lunchtime hoagie. Download the Wawa app today. When you gotta get rewarded, you gotta Wawa. Fuel rewards not available in New Jersey or were legally prohibited. See full details at wawarewards.com. Price of participation may vary by store.
Marcus Morris here with Family Heating and Air. As we're reaching colder weather, you may find yourself in need of furnace service. At Family, we specialize in solutions to extend your furnace life. Call the Fix-It team from Family. You can easily reach us at familyhvac.net. From our family to yours, have a happy holiday.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like fences. A house with a big yard and a white picket fence was always the dream. But then you saw the price to install a fence and you're wondering if the color is driving the price up. Nobody ever dreams of a beige or a gray picket fence, right? So maybe those fences are cheaper. But no, they're not. Then you remember that switching your home and auto to Progressive could save you hundreds and make all your dreams of a fence come true. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Tavern Tour 25, brought to you by Evan Williams, continues this Thursday at Coach's Tavern. Join JMV Thursday from 3 to 6 p.m. Great food and Evan Williams at Coach's Tavern.
It's BullseyeEventGroup.com, the Colts VIP tailgate presented by Hayes & Sons Restoration. Your Colts game day experience, the best it can be. Log on and get your passes now. BullseyeEventGroup.com.
From the DriveHubler.com studios, this is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
WIBC HD2, HD3, Indianapolis.
Soccer Saturday featuring Indy 11. If this is your football, this is your show. Saturday at 9 on The Fan. You're listening to Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
2 o'clock hour underway in Indianapolis. For that matter, the 2 o'clock hour is underway everywhere in the Eastern time zone. My name is Jake Query. Eddie Garrison, by the way, have you been out yet, Kurt, to the State Fairgrounds?
Not yet.
Okay, my understanding, and this is kind of fun. So if you're wondering, and a lot of people have asked where Eddie has been, and Scott Agness is going to join us, Fieldhouse Files, just a second. But I mentioned this the other day. Eddie took time off about 2 weeks ago, and he is in – this is fun. As we know from listening to this show, Eddie has an 8 5/8 hat size. And that puts him in like the upper like 2 percentile or something like that. So he is a member of what's known as the United States – and I kept saying association, and I apologize. I completely apologize. It's the United States Big Head Federation. Mm-hmm. I said association, it's federation. It's an organization. I don't know who put this together, but a bunch of people with big craniums. So one of the hat companies, I don't know which one, decided because there was kind of an untapped market with apparently the Big Head Federation membership continues to grow, not unlike their heads. And so as a result of that, there was an increased conversation of, inclusiveness for the hat industry. And they wanted to make sure, because a couple of years ago it became the rage, those big hats. That was like the big thing was the big hats. And there was some thought with the BHF that was actually in mockery and that kind of a thing. And so that began conversation and dialogue with the hat manufacturers. And they were naive to the fact that the Big Head Federation there were a lot of people that felt like they couldn't buy hats of their favorite team in their hat size. So they wanted to go ahead and start making those hats, and they wanted models, cranium models, to come and do photo shoots. So Eddie took a couple of weeks off, I don't know, or a day off a couple of weeks ago, I should say, to go up to Crown Point, Crown, the key word here, and as part of the BHF photo shoot, and he was not selected. However, when they were doing the photo shoot, one of the things they had challenge with was the lighting. And Eddie, because of working in studios and in particular this one and helping out with he lended them some of his expertise in lighting that he learned at the University of Indianapolis in radio and television work. And there happened to be a guy, also fellow BHF member, that is one of those that helps out with the winter lights at the fairgrounds. And so they ran up short on time this year because of the unexpected cold weather and et cetera. And they needed someone with lighting expertise to come and help with the elves lights that they have. If you go there, they ask for you to count the elves as you drive through the winter lights. Eddie is the designated elf lighter. And so they have hired him. He took a couple of days off, making big money. And so not just the head big here, paycheck as well. So he is doing that. So when you drive through the winter lights for the fairgrounds, when you see, and it's a fun thing for the kids to do, to count the elves as you drive through. When you're driving through to count the elves, keep in mind, those were developed, built, and everything else, and then by Eddie. He's out there doing that right now. So that's, and there are several of them. That's why it's taken him a couple of days. So therefore, you get some pinch hit bullpen hours.
Yeah, I mean, hey, he's a jack of all trades. Honestly.
He is that. Yeah, Jack, the key word. Joining us now on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line, he is, of course, with Fieldhouse Files, covering the Pacers fever as well. Scott Agness joins us. Scott, happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays to you as well. Enjoyed that story. That was great.
Well, did you know that about Eddie?
No, that's why I was so enlightened. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Enlightened, the key word. Speaking of enlightened, he can do that as well because, and again, if you go through, look for the lighted elves. That's all. That is entirely Eddie's work, just so you know. Entirely Eddie's work. Scott, let's get to this. I thought, and I get it. I mean, this is a team with the Pacers that there are two ways to look at down years. One is you just lose it, and maybe I'm biased because, I have a lot of love for the Pacers, and I've been open about that. And it was such, it was so invigorating what happened last year during the finals run. And now they are so down, but yet, because there's plausible explanation for it, they've been able to get away with that. Because you're like, you know what? It's the injuries, it's the attrition, it's the new faces. I get it. But that game against Washington, that to me was the first time this year where they laid a complete goose egg that seemingly was inexplicable. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree with you there, Jake, for sure. And you could even go back how it started perhaps 2 nights earlier in Philadelphia, where the Pacers were on track. They were leading, and they scored 5 points over the final, like 8-24, outscored 20-5. I thought that would leave a bad taste in their mouth. This is a team that is playing better in Philadelphia. They saw Joel Embiid have his best performance in 2 seasons. With no surprise, he always plays well against the Pacers. But then, everything that could go wrong against the Wizards, who are the only team worse than the Pacers right now, record-wise in the East, did. And the challenging part, as I thought you alluded to well, is before it was all understandable. This performance, no, nothing about that was understandable. Rick Carlisle even saying post-game it was unacceptable. We can't do this ever. And to the point we saw him use a timeout 1 minute into the game. And so you wonder, Siakam's been their most consistent guy since he has got here. I can't say enough good things about him. But, Nembhard didn't look completely healthy, still dealing with an injury. Though he was out there, he was questionable entering the game. Missed his first 11 shots, very unlike him. Mathurin, there's been ups and downs. And really the only player that's jumped out to me was center Jay Huff inside.
Yeah, Jay Huff, to me, Scott, looks like a guy. I've always said that in sport, sometimes how or where you were acquired factors into how you are evaluated. And in the case of Jay Huff, I think the timing of when he was acquired, because of the Miles Turner departure, and so people thought, okay, this is the Miles Turner replacement. I think we can now safely say he is not that. However, whoever Miles Turner's long-term replacement is going to be once they have everybody back in the stable. And I think that player is not currently on the roster. I think Jay Huff has now shown himself to be a situational, really nice 18 to 21-minute off-the-bench piece once they get that starting five in there. Would you agree with that assessment?
I would, yeah. I didn't expect him at all to come in and be the savior, be the starter. But I know it was kind of one of the first transactions after Miles Turner moved on, and it was at the center spot. But this was a guy, I think if you understand the circumstances here, this is a guy that got limited action with Memphis, but was very productive. And so the Pacers liked that. They liked his characteristics. They liked what the analytics told him. And that has proven to be true. He leads the league in total blocks. He leads the league in blocks per 48 minutes. All those attributes. He's a good rebounder, can play the inside-out game similar to Miles Turner, whereas Isaiah Jackson's a very different player, more of a rim runner, more of a guy that's around the basket and operating. So, I think moving forward, I would not be surprised for Jay Huff to be your backup center. But still, there's that big missing piece there at the starting role. And for now, they're just kind of cobbling it together and, in Rick Carlisle's words, doing it by committee.
By the way, Scott, this happened to us yesterday, and I'm just simply going to point it out because it's the elephant in the room and have fun with it. I don't know what this is. It is strictly a beyond the control of anybody here, like weird software bug. I don't know if Eddie tinkered with something before it, maybe when doing the light stuff. Your voice sounds like you're on helium in the way that like you sound like a combination here of Kermit the Frog and Patrick Mahomes. It's kind of fun. Have you ever done the helium through a balloon and then talking type deal?
No, I haven't. And I can promise you there's no Joey Molinaro impression right now. I know we missed my hotline, but this is a little bit different.
You sound like you're on helium. So I'm going to do the helium voice Scott Agness for one more question here. You ready? In terms of the health standpoint, and, obviously Pacers Knicks coming up Thursday at the Fieldhouse. Health standpoint and the return of those that we have not seen in some time, not named Tyrese Halliburton, where do we stand?
Yeah, we got a little bit of clarity on it today because the Pacers got the 10-day hardship exception. Therefore, we know. I appreciate you getting through this. Ben Shepherd and Aaron Nesmith will be at least out the next 2 weeks. So we did get clarity on that front. Otherwise, Obi Toppin, don't expect any update from him until February.
By the way, can you just say for me, please, follow the Yellow Brick Road? Can you just say that?
Jake, follow the Yellow Brick Road.
Scott, I appreciate it. It doesn't make any sense to you now, but if you go back and listen to the program later, Scott, you'll understand totally why I asked you to do that.
You got it, man. Why not Indiana?
I love it. That's trademark, by the way. Why not Indiana? I got all kinds of legal stuff going on with that. Just so you know, I've got now, and I'm not saying the names of any businesses. That is not because it's gone beyond just it's outside Indiana. So it's not Indiana businesses. But the why not Indiana trademark, this trademark thing, man, it's legit. I got an attorney that's chasing stuff down all over the place.
Your timing was impeccable when you go from the Pacers to the Fever, and now certainly number one, Indiana football. It doesn't get much better than that.
That is indeed correct. Scott Agness joining us, Fieldhouse Files. Appreciate it, Scott. He's on the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. It is not Java House, by the way, that is speeding things up. Although it does, the Java House Columbia Coffee give you a little pep in your step. So too the Wrangler Energy. And then if you are with that energy working out, you want to get yourself a refreshment, nothing better than the Liquid Science liquid hydration, both in the aqua flavoring, aqua blue, and then the orange flavoring. All of that available, javahouse.com and the Java House Peel and Pour guest line. In talking about the NBA, I want to get back into something that I brought up the other day and see if anybody agrees with me on this. I didn't go a lot of in-depth on this, but I'm curious. I know a lot of times on this show, I spend time pontificating and then asking if anyone agrees with me or has noticed something. But sometimes I see things coming down the Yellow Brick Road, and later it comes to fruition. And I'm like, yeah, you if you've been around it long enough, you can kind of see where things are headed. Sports are cyclical. Teams are cyclical. Styles are cyclical. The NFL is a copycat league. In the NFL, you have the greatest show on turf, the Rams. Then all of a sudden, everybody's going after trying to get, in-space players. And copycat league of, one team does something and breaks through and breaks the mold, and now everybody's doing it. In the NBA with the Pacers, there have been repeated articles written about teams trying to play that fast pace that the Pacers played a year ago that literally set the league on its ear. And at no point did you feel like the Pacers were out of any game because they could catch lightning in a bottle and they're down 7 with a minute to go, and then here they come roaring back and they finish on a 9-0 run, whatever it might be. And you see other teams now that are trying to play in that pace. And that cycle of the way that teams do things in a copycat-driven league is apparent. Additionally, teams and leagues can be in vogue for a while and then they fall off. We saw it with, for example, cyclical, right? Alabama had their cycle of dominance in college football where seemingly no one else was going to win a title ever again. And then it was Clemson's turn. And Clemson had their era there. And I loved it. I'm a Clemson fan, so I loved it. It was fabulous. And Clemson had their era, and then now it's probably right now we're living in the dynasty of probably Ohio State. And I know that Indiana's the number 1 seed, and maybe it's Indiana's turn. Maybe Ohio State's was short-lived and it's Indiana's turn. In college basketball, an interesting thing happened this weekend. And I hinted at this a couple of times, but I'm now fully on board with presenting my hypothesis as part of now my dissertation, my senior paper. I'll go back to the old era of Street and Smiths. If you know, you know, Street and Smith's basketball magazine. You'd flip to the back, and there would be the round, oval headshot, black and white, of the 25 Street and Smith's All-Americans. I can still tell you from yesteryear some of those players, especially during my high school years. And it would always list at the bottom of it like the 3 or 4 schools they were contemplating and considering and visiting. This was rivals before rivals, 24/7 before 24/7 sports, 247 sports, whatever you want to call it, all those things. Gerard Mustaf, power forward, East Coast, considering Maryland, which is where he ended up. Matt Staninga, power forward, big guy, athletic, dunk champion, considering Michigan State, which is where he ended up. Back in those days, the Street and Smiths, you would get it. That was the biblical guide of college basketball. It was the Gary Donna's Hoosier Basketball magazine of the collegiate game. And what a thrill to see your favorite team on the cover before they even did regional covers. Steve Alford and David Robinson on the cover together. Glenn Robinson on the cover. All of those things, right? And college basketball back then, different era, I know. But college basketball was as probably more so relevant than the NBA. You had great personalities coaching college basketball. Al McGuire, a little before my time. Ray Meyer, a little before my time. Bob Knight, Gene Cady. Fun names like Digger Phelps. Guys like John Chaney that kind of looked like the owl that was the mascot, just like Gene Cady looked like Purdue Pete, just like Mike Krzyzewski oddly looks kind of like the Blue Devil. Great personalities that became as big. Jim Boeheim, curmudgeon-y. Great defense. Always knew his teams every 4 or 5 years were going to put together a run where nobody could discover and figure out that matchup zone. And college basketball had this long era that was truly the primary choice for basketball fans in the United States. And they had the blue bloods. UCLA was considered a blue blood because John Wooden had won 10 national championships, even in a 30-year lull when Jim Herrick finally broke through and won another one for them with Ed O'Bannon and Charles O'Bannon. Foreshadowing. Those names become important here in a second with this story. And UCLA, when they won that 11th, it's like they're right back as a blue blood. Well, they had been kind of irrelevant for like 15 or 20 years, but they weren't because John Wooden and UCLA Lou Alcindor and Bill Walton and all of them had coached with it. But your blue bloods, Kansas, Danny Manning, Danning and the Miracles, Larry Brown, the ultimate vagabond journeyman. But before that, Fog Allen and Dean Smith had played there, and JoJo White and Allen Fieldhouse, which looked kind of like Hinkle. And Michigan State, and Tom Izzo was this great fiery competitor. And before him, Judd Heathcote. Fun, personable names like Judd Heathcote. And they had Magic Johnson. And you had your blue bloods of Louisville, Denny Crum, and Kentucky, and North Carolina, and Indiana, goes without saying, and Purdue for that matter. And college basketball was this big thing. And Saturday night, I'm watching that game in Rupp. And I know that Indiana basketball, collegiately speaking, it's been chasing it for a while here. And the 1987 banner feels now like it should be in the Smithsonian, not in Assembly Hall. And as I'm watching that Indiana-Kentucky game in Rupp, and I'm envisioning and I'm getting dancing in my head the Sugar Plum Fairies of the Ghost of Christmas Past of seeing Brian Evans shot in Sports Illustrated in one of the great photos of all time when you open up the middle of the magazine and there, like in the covering both sides of it, the RCA Dome and Brian Evans taking a jump shot from the baseline, and literally one side of the photo, the entire crowd, every single person's wearing a red sweater, and the other side of the crowd, the right side of the photo, every single person's wearing blue because Kentucky and Indiana are playing in the Dome. And I'm watching Rupp Arena with Mark Pope coaching, and it just seems flat. And I'm watching Indiana play with, and I think Darren DeVries is a good coach, and I think he's going to build a good program there. But I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, this just feels different. And yes, Father Time's undefeated, I get that. But I'm not even talking about the draw away from the passion of the Indiana-Kentucky rivalry, but rather the fact that I'm like, something feels missing at Rupp. And so I asked people. I wasn't there. I was watching it on television. But I asked people, hey, did you go? The people that went, they said, yeah, it was weird. It just had more of a flat environment than it used to. And part of that is probably because you have a generation of young people and students that didn't grow up with the Indiana-Kentucky basketball rivalry. And you have, especially in terms of home arena stuff. I mean, the Watt shot was the last time they played in the regular season. And in addition to that, you have Kentucky struggling and wondering if, and this is one of the dangers in hiring one of your own as a head coach, because then it becomes a difficult get out of it. Ask North Carolina right now. Ask North Carolina when they had Matt Doherty. Why did Kansas go and get Bill Self, who'd been an Oklahoma State guy? Easier get out. I mean, in Bill Self's case, it's obviously worked. But college basketball now today in 2025, if Kansas or if Kentucky feels a little flat and Kansas has Bill Self that's in the twilight of his career and they have a guy that's going to be a lottery pick that now there's discussion he's done for the year, and North Carolina is kind of chasing it a little bit and figuring out what they have in Hubert Davis, and Krzyzewski's no longer at Duke. And who now are the breakthrough personalities in college basketball? Danny Hurley, because he's a psycho? Bill Self because he's the elder statesman. Mick Cronin at UCLA because he's angry all the time and kind of looks like Mr. Magoo and wears a suit. The Pat Kelsey at Louisville because he's like a little bit off. But college basketball, to me, it feels like the fanaticism for it, the culture of it, is dwindling before our very eyes. March Madness will always be March Madness, always. But back in the days of the old Street and Smiths, in reading about high school All-Americans and reading about college basketball All-Americans, you knew where every one of them was. You knew because guys stayed places for multiple years, but more so you knew because you knew where they went to high school. You knew where they grew up. You knew and you feared, oh, man, I've been hearing about this Rex Chapman in Kentucky, and wait till he gets to UK. He's only a junior. He's got 2 years of high school left. I can't wait to watch him in the Indiana-Kentucky All-Star Series. And now players, and I've mentioned this before, they're going to La Lumiere and IMG Academy and Bradenton Academy. And all of a sudden, people that are like, man, we've got this guy, Corliss Williamson, the big nasty from right here in the state of Arkansas. Wait till he's a Razorback. Woo, pig suey. And instead now it's like, well, he's actually going to some academy over in Maine. And then after that, I'm not sure where he's going to go. Probably whatever school offers him the most in NIL money for his freshman year and then going onward. And yes, you have that in football as well. But in basketball, smaller roster, no uniform, more intimate feeling of getting to know players back in yesteryear. But it all changed when the video games came out and a player from UCLA said, wait a minute, a guy on my dorm floor was playing an EA Sports game with my name, image, and likeness on it, and I didn't get anything. So I'm going to file a lawsuit, and my name is Ed O'Bannon. And it took forever for that lawsuit to get settled. But once it did, the higher courts of this country said, you, as they should have, deserve to get paid for your name, image, and likeness. You are your own trademark. You are your own Why Not Indiana. And I understand, but it is more lucrative for basketball players in an NIL standpoint across the board for the reasons I'm talking about, because their likeness you see all the time. And you would think that the name, image, likeness payment and elevation would create bigger stars within college basketball. But in reality, what it's done is kind of dilute it now to the point where, yes, it is easier to see the likeness of a player, associate with it, and then have a company want to brand itself with it, except for that it has now caused them to become mercenaries at even a younger age with the vagabond nature of it. I don't have a problem with it at all. I'm not sitting here screaming from the mountaintops like an old guy yelling at clouds saying, shouldn't do these kids spoiled brats. That's not it at all. I totally get, I champion, I applaud, and I am 100% there for them to go get as much money as they can in as short a time as possible. But I think the brand of college basketball, the excitement of college basketball, and the connection of college basketball has dwindled from a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And we right here are amidst within our market probably the number one program in America in terms of doing it morally, doing it ethically, doing it with teamwork and things you can be proud of in the form of Purdue. But I don't know how sexy Purdue basketball is in Las Vegas or Los Angeles or Pine Bluff, Arkansas, or Wheeling, West Virginia, because it gets away from the glitz and glamour of name, image, likeness. And that's what the game has become. And it feels like in doing so, it has diluted the popularity and the overall buzz about it. Because at one time, you could have turned on a game at any point on Big Monday. You knew Big Monday. Tuesday night game, Big Ten on ESPN, whatever it might be. And now it just feels like people are like, man, between the 15 networks they're on and the transfer portal and everything else, I just can't keep track of it. And it's a tiger by the tail that wake me up when Selection Sunday comes around. And feel free to tell me I'm wrong, folks. Feel free to tell me I'm wrong. You can text me at 317-523-9288. You can text me at 317-239-1070. Either way, because I might be wrong. But it certainly feels that way. And seeing that in Rupp on Saturday night only reinforced to me something that I worry about, that in a couple of years we're going to look back and go, yeah, that is in the way it used to be category. Back to the Colts and a bit of a crossroads for them as they get set for a Monday night showdown next.
Do you spend half your day walking or standing while working? If you have foot, knee, or low back pain, the Good Feet store wants to help you like we helped Tony.
Pain that I experience the most is foot pain from being on my feet all day. You're having to kind of talk to yourself through the whole shift, like, I got this, I can do this. Before, I felt defeated, and now it's like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. A whole new life, like sunshine coming on.
And here's Dennis.
Working at an amusement park, it's always on your feet. I just couldn't take it. I just couldn't believe that putting these arch supports in made that much of a difference that quickly. Good Feet just took that pain away, and I could do my job, and I could take care of my family. I know what my tomorrow is going to be. It's going to be positive, and it's going to be pain-free.
You deserve a better life, too. Stop into the Good Feet store today. We're located in Castleton by the Fashion Mall or in Greenwood, just off the 65.
Thanks to the Good Feet store. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Christmas Nights of Lights Drive-Thru Holiday Spectacular returns to the Indiana State Fairgrounds November 7th through December 31st. Synchronized to your favorite Christmas tunes and a million sparkling lights. Enjoy a dazzling winter wonderland for the whole family. Reserve your spot at ChristmasNightsOfLights.com.
Hey, it's JMV. Fall's the time when the rain hits, the ground shifts, and tree roots start tearing into those old clay or PVC lines. Got holiday guests coming over? That extra water use doesn't help either. LD Smith Plumbing can handle it all, from sump pumps to backups to leaks big and small. Call LD Smith Plumbing today. The local pros that I trust. Online, ldsmithplumbing.com.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest. Hey, it's Big Joe for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling. Owner James Swindle says success is easy when you focus on customer satisfaction instead of profit.
I think our number one goal is customer service. When we walk in there every day, it's not how much revenue can we produce, it's how many customers can we service and take care of, and there's no question about it. We just make sure they're happy.
Get a hold of Price Point Comfort Heating and Cooling at PricePointComfort.com. Price Point Comfort is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It happens every holiday. Food comas, piles of wrapping paper, Uncle Harold's asleep in the recliner. It's only $5.45. But then, Cousin John rolls in with holiday scratch-offs from the Hoosier Lottery. Starting at just $1, they're the perfect gift for making the most of the one time of year all 30 cousins are gathered together in one living room. Unwrap instant fun with holiday scratch-offs. Hoosier Lottery, champions of play. Must be 18 or older to play. Gift responsibly.
Hey there, it's Jake Query with a question for you. What are your dinner plans? Or do you even have a plan? I want you to be a hero tonight. Be a winner. Be a champion as a dinner provider. Get the Chicago's $25 medium pizza special tonight. 2 medium one-topping pizzas and an order of fresh hot breadsticks, all for just $25. You can pick up, delivery, dine in, DoorDash, whatever it might be. Be a winner at dinner with the $25 medium pizza family meal deal. This is not cheap, average, fast chain pizza. This is pizza with crust, handmade every day and topped generously with fresh ingredients made by local owner-operators who obsess over every slice. Add a salad, pasta, or sandwich to make any picky eater happy. Order online at chicagospizza.com. Click on your closest location and order the $25 medium pizza family meal deal. 25 is the special number, $25 medium pizza family meal deal, and 25 Indiana locations, 18 of them in Central Indiana. Make the entire family happy tonight. Even better, make yourself happy tonight with Chicago's Pizza. Chicago's Pizza, where there's a story told in every slice.
So you need last-minute gifts. No judgment. Get an extra 25% off during Kohl's Friends and Family Sale and find great gifts under $20. Like something cozy, something thoughtful, something that says you planned this all along. Yep, you're just one quick trip away from checking off the last gifts on your list. Save now at Kohl's and Kohl's.com. Select styles. Offer ends December 24th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Sat Vai Band, featuring Joe Satriani and Steve Vai. Two living legends,
one band. Surfing with the Hydra 2026 Tour. Saturday, May 9th. Everwise Amphitheater at White River State Park. With special guest, Animals as leaders. Reserved seats are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Satch Five Band. An electrifying sonic powerhouse. Part of the Jack Daniels Concert Series.
Don't mess up the ring. Go to Moyer Fine Jewelers in Carmel. They only sell natural diamonds, hand-selected at competitive prices. Mention JMV for $500 off your engagement ring through Christmas Eve.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Your home for indie sports. Now with even more ways to listen.
Listen on air.
Online at 1075thefan.com.
And on our free app.
Stay connected to all things indie sports, including the latest news, show blogs, and catch up on what you've missed with our podcast.
We're never more than just a click away.
Download our app at Google Play and on the App Store. From your home for indie sports.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to Query and Company on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Colts Niners. Lucas Oil Stadium Monday night. Niners, that's right. We'll get more into that in just a second. Let me ask you this, Kurt Geralds. When you were a kid growing up, or for that matter right now, we'll begin with the 2025. There's a reason I ask it as it relates to the Colts, but right now, in 2025, the item that you most want Santa to bring to you is what?
Stuff for my PC at home, like a good processor and RAM, which don't look up the price on those, but that's what I would love Santa to bring me.
Okay. So when you were, the second part of it would be this. When you look at Christmas past in your childhood, what is the one thing that you can most remember, and what year would it have been being the thing that you were the most adamant that you wanted for Christmas, that you were just like, oh my gosh, you just wanted more than life itself?
It was always video game related. It was either a new game or like a new console. I thought you were going a different way with that, because every year for Christmas I always get, until I turned 21, was a 6-pack of root beer. And then when I turned 21, it was, I think we talked about this, was the, what is that root beer alcoholic drink?
Oh, not your father, is it not your father's root beer or not your grandfather's, whatever it's called?
Yes, that. So I've been getting that now ever since I turned 21.
Now the only problem with that is this, as we've talked about, and that stuff is good, don't get me wrong, but like it doesn't take long. It's like eggnog. Like I love eggnog. Every year this time of year, I'm like, you know what? I could go for a glass of eggnog, and then literally halfway through the glass, you're just like, ugh. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, did I just drink a carton of eggs? And the Not Your Father's root beer is similar. It is fabulous stuff, and it tastes great. But the sugar content and the thickness of it piles up quickly, right?
Yeah, you only get through like 2, and you're like, okay, I think I'm done.
Yeah, totally. Now, so when you were a kid, when did the root beer tradition begin?
When I was like 8.
And it was who began the tradition?
My stepmother.
Okay. And it was, what, A&W, Barks, different brand every year?
Barks is the best. We stuck with Barks. Or the IBC glass ones.
How about, is it called Sprecher? Is that what it's called?
Oh, that's the one with like the bird on it?
Yeah, the crow.
I've gotten that one before too. Yes.
That's supposed to be like high-grade root beer stuff,
it's
right?
Pretty good. The best root beer is Triple X root beer, though. Just want to put that out there.
Is it really?
In my opinion.
So you're a root beer aficionado?
I think so.
Okay. A&W you don't like?
It's like lower tier. It's like a C tier root beer.
I didn't know there's root beer snobs.
Hey, you got me.
So you are a root beer snob, root beer aficionado.
I am self-proclaimed.
And you're going, you said IBC the best one?
Ooh.
Or Barks?
Triple X. Up in West Lafayette.
So Triple X is the upper tier.
Yeah, S tier.
And then you said right below that is, you said Barks you like?
I'd put Barks A tier. Yep.
Okay, and then IBC?
The one with the crow. I forget what you called it.
That's Sprecher, yep.
That would be above IBC.
Okay.
Then IBC, then Mug.
Okay.
And then the other one. That one we don't care about.
Okay, fair enough. Now, and then now it's the Not Your Father's root beer.
After 2 of them, yes.
Okay.
I'm done.
So I mentioned this once before, and I don't know if this is just a Query family thing or a lot of people do this. when I was a kid, we would go on Christmas Eve to my grandparents' house. And then when we would come back from my grandparents' house, we would open one gift, and it was always pajamas. That's now, is that a common family tradition for people?
Uh-huh.
And as you get older, obviously, then it becomes like basketball shorts and a T-shirt or whatever, but like sleeping gear of some sort.
Nope. On my mom's side of the family, Christmas Eve.
Still pajamas?
She begs me to come over, and it's pajamas.
Okay, here's another Query family tradition, and I don't know if this is just something my mom created or if a lot of families do this, okay? In my childhood, and it still extends into today, but in my childhood, you got gifts from the family pet. Now, my mom told me when I was really little that there was a store where dogs and cats could shop, and that at night, I mean, this is when I was really little, and that at night, our family dog and cat would go, they snuck out, and they would go and shop. And I truly, I still believe it, actually, a small part of me. But to this day, and I want people to tell me if this is a tradition or a custom that they do. To this day, if you get under the tree a Christmas gift that is from the family pet, then it's socks or underwear. Always. That's all they buy.
I've never heard of that.
Okay.
But I love it.
That might be you can use it when you know. So in other words, you get, and when we do the gifts, to Jake from Tom, and Tom is the cat, right? And so they throw it over, and then you open it, and everybody goes, oh, that Tom got the unmentionables. But it usually is socks or underwear, one of the two, right?
I love this.
Okay. So for me, in my childhood, the two things that I remember wanting more than any, oddly enough, when I was really little, and this is very strange probably, but I wanted so badly, I was probably like 5 or 6. I wanted literally a wooden nutcracker, like a Christmas nutcracker. I don't know why I thought those were so cool, but I wanted one. I remember one year wanting, the two other items that I remember wanting, sports related. I so badly wanted the Super Bowl Shuffle on vinyl because that came out like 2 weeks before Christmas, and it was all the rage, and I ended up getting that. I also wanted, when I was in the 8th grade, a copy of A Season on the Brink, which had come out. Actually, that came out when I was in the 8th grade. It was written about the year that I was in the 7th grade, and it came out when I was in the 8th grade, and I got that as well, and Feinstein signed it, which was super cool. But for the Colts right now, the Christmas wish list, the thing that they would want more than anything else, one would assume, is good quarterback play. And I go back to what I asked at the beginning of the show, and that is, if good quarterback play is what is going to carry you into the offseason, there is a part of me that's like, but for what? However, I also look at, you might as well try to salvage something out of this season that has gotten away from you, somewhat at no fault of their own because of injury. But the recovery from it is somewhat fault of their own. Because you might as well go for it this year, because if you weren't going to get in the postseason, you would say, hey, you know what? You may as well, if you're not going to get in the postseason, see what you can get in terms of a draft pick. And then you just consistently remember that lump in the coal of the fact that their draft pick this year and next, their 2 first-rounders, are both on their way to New York. And so you're just kind of stuck. It is hard to grasp and swallow and accept the reality of the situation, which is that the Indianapolis Colts in 2025 started 7-1. And now all of a sudden, losers of 5 of 6 games. And one of those wins they had in there, by the way, and that, keep in mind, they were kind of gifted the win in Denver, and the Atlanta game really easily could have gone the other way. But either way, you get optimistic over the fact that they started out 7-1, but then you look at it and you go, okay, now you've got serious question at quarterback because of the injury to Daniel Jones. And even if he comes back and that's your guy, how long does it take to get that in the mix? And if you get him back in the mix, how long does it take for him to get back to the 7-1 version of Daniel Jones? And then at that point, you've got DeForest Buckner older, Jonathan Taylor older, Quentin Nelson older, Shavarius Ward, for that matter, older, Cam Bynum older, and you're getting into the placement of, okay, they got to go now or never. But they don't necessarily have the ability to accentuate those pieces in their twilight, and they are headed with a lot of these guys towards the twilight, and you forget that. So it almost feels like the Christmas wish list for the Colts should not only be an answer of what it's going to be at quarterback, but also some sort of a fountain of youth for their key players, because it is starting to add up to us much faster than we anticipated. Barks, the best one, you said?
Triple X.
Of those, you can just go. Can you buy Triple X in a grocery store?
No.
So you got to go to Lafayette to get the Triple X.
No. Leo's gas stations have them.
You have scouted this out, right?
I'm on top of it, man.
That's a root beer aficionado right there. JMV is on remote. He's on the road. We'll find out where he is and what he's got lined up. We'll do it next as part of the crossover brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air, love-hvac.com.
This is Jim with Jim's Heating and Air Conditioning. If you need help in Boone County or Hamilton County, give us a call.
Just go to jimsheating-air.com. Jim's Heating and Air Conditioning is your trusted local independent American Standard air dealer.
It's glitz and glamour at Four Winds South Bend's Ribbontown Event Center. A New Year's Eve party to remember. Enjoy live entertainment featuring Naughty, party favors, appetizers, and a cash bar. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com.
So what's in the bag today? Yesterday's leftovers? Another lunch meat sandwich? Well, go ahead and pull up a rock and settle in for a half hour of I wish I was eating something else. Or you could be eating something else, or someplace else. If you're brown bagging it at the corner of 30th and Shadeland area, drop over to His Place Eatery for 30 minutes of why didn't I know about this place sooner? Nothing fancy, not a lot of frills. They save that for the quality of the meal. Like ribs that fall off the bone, southern fried chicken, sides that will cause your taste buds to thank you into tomorrow. Put that in your brown bag and eat it. Better yet, bank the bag. Go to His Place Eatery at the corner of 30th and Shadeland, or the newest location off 86th and Ditch Road. Your dirty boots and work clothes are welcome here. His Place, your place for lunch. Go to hisplaceeatery.com to learn more.
Hi, I'm Lexi, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. We'll help you find last-minute gifts that don't look last-minute, even if you're still planning to propose. At Shane Company, we'll show you perfect gifts at perfect prices, in stock and ready to give. Like hand-matched diamond studs, 14-karat gold chains, or the ultimate gift, a beautiful engagement ring. We have longer store hours, so you can skip the crowds and shop when you want, or visit us at shaneco.com. Because a friend wants you to be a holiday hero. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
At Advent, nasal congestion and sinus infections can be solved with an in-office 20-minute procedure. Elsewhere, expect surgery.
Bowling, 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 keep them balls a-rolling. Bowling, 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 Royal Pin.
The holidays are rolling in at Royal Pin Entertainment. Celebrate the season your way with cheer-filled holiday parties. From thrilling bowling lanes to action-packed laser tag, there's fun for everyone. And when it's time to refuel, enjoy delicious catering options. At Royal Pin Entertainment, they cater to events of all sizes with some of the largest event spaces in Indianapolis. Perfect for corporate Christmas parties, family gatherings, or any festive get-together. Give your group the unforgettable holiday experience they're hoping for.
Set them up, knock them down, send them flying, spinning round.
Book your holiday event now at RoyalPin.com. That's RoyalPin.com.
Royal Pin, bowling, bowling, Royal Pin.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Oh, no.
Ah, that's the sound of someone who's misplaced
My debit card.
their debit card.
Where'd I leave that thing?
Not at the gas pump, or the checkout counter, or the roof of your car. Now, if he has the Chase mobile app, he can use Card Lock.
Wait, I could just lock my card.
Yep, just a few tippy taps on his phone, and that sound? That's peace of mind from Chase.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
A new exclusive offer with an eligible Bank of America Visa credit card is your opportunity to go from cardholder to ticket holder for the FIFA World Cup 2026. For a limited time, when you're approved for a new customized cash rewards or unlimited cash rewards Visa credit card, you're eligible for a chance to purchase FIFA World Cup 2026 tickets. Learn more today at bfa.com/cardfwc26. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America, proud to be the official bank of FIFA World Cup 2026. Bank of America N.A. in partnership with Visa. Terms apply. All rights reserved.
Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get super sure. Not kind of sure, not pretty sure, but super sure. Coming soon.
Hey, it's Paul. I'm the director of giddiness, and you're feeling giddy on Query and Company on the Fans.
Love Paul. Paul is indeed the director of giddiness, always in a good mood. And if you look outside right now, it kind of looks like the overall vibe that Paul exudes. Because it is nice outside. It is cold, I realize. I saw, by the way, little early to be looking at this, but Christmas Eve. Every year, Christmas Eve, I do the Newfields lights and just kind of enjoy and soak in the fact that it's, you know, what's unfolding before you of the Christmas season. And we call and FaceTime my friend Michael in Australia, and he's always fascinated by the cold temperatures, and we're all bundled up and everything else. It's supposed to be 61 degrees on Christmas Eve. Now, I don't know if that happened a couple of years ago, and to be honest with you, it was almost kind of a buzzkill because I hate cold weather. I hate it, but there is an element of it feels appropriate this time of year. JMV is out and about. It is the crossover brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air. Love-HVAC.com is the website. 317-353-2141 is the telephone number. John will bring us home for the remainder of this sun-splashed but still chilly day. And, John, you will be doing it from Twin Peaks. Is that correct?
Twin Peaks, Jake. We are in Greenwood today, which is an awesome location, and the fire is burning. You mentioned, too, there's days like these are the ones that are ready-made, I think, sometimes to easily fall asleep in the middle of the afternoon because it's warm. It hasn't been warm, and, you know, we're sitting inside by the fire right now, but, man, ice-cold beer, great food, and, you know, just kind of getting involved on the Tuesday before we head to the latter portions of the week. Butler, UConn, I know on the big screens around here coming up later on tonight. And former Mr. Basketball, obviously. I was in Greenfield last Friday night, and watched Braylon Mullins play. I believe they were playing Texas last Friday night. I watched that with his family. Be cool to see Butler and UConn coming up later on tonight, Jake. But this is the spot to do it. Greenwood, Twin Peaks.
You know, he started out, Braylon Mullins, he started, John, the year hurt, but now that he's playing – he is immediately showing why I think many people believe that he could be a lottery pick this year, right?
He is a good player. You know, it's funny. His second choice was evidently IU. Did you know that?
I had heard that, right?
His second choice was IU, and Mike Woodson saw him play 3 times in his career. Danny Hurley was here from Storrs, Connecticut, 12-plus, I think.
Yeah, I mean.
So that was,
and you know what?
That was a little bit of the thing there. Yeah.
Liam Mink on that was that supposedly he had not heard from Indiana once he verbally committed for like 3 months. Can't have it that way.
What was
right?
the story did Mike Davis once upon a time send a recruiting letter
Roderick
to
Wilmot.
one dude?
He sent Roderick. He sent a Roderick Wilmot recruiting letter to Mike Conley, I believe.
Was it? I thought it was like that Collins kid that went to Kansas, Sharon Collins.
Maybe that's right. Conley was one of the players, right? Wasn't it definitely? Or no, I know what
I thought it was.
I'm sorry.
It was something that got kind of whacked out, and and had they known back then, I mean, think about this for a moment.
I'm sorry, John.
And I know that it's a different era, but if we're now and Kelvin Sampson's the coach. Everything he did was absolutely legal. How many, if he were able to be the coach right now, would they have a national title?
Probably,
think?
Yeah, probably. I mean, well, I don't know though,
Crazy.
because some of the players he brought in were pretty questionable. But yes, I mean the manner in which he got them for sure. There's no doubt that Kelvin Sampson can coach. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And now that I'm thinking about it, the Mike Davis, Mike Conley story, allegedly, as legend has it. Yes, Roderick Wilmot was involved with Davis in this regard, and that is supposedly when Davis went to go recruit Greg Oden, Mike Conley Sr. said, well, you know what, Greg and Mike may be a package deal, and Mike Davis said, but I already have my point guard and Roderick Wilmot as opposed to Conley. And that was the end of that.
Mike Davis is probably thinking, why am I taking strays in this conversation right here? But,
I like Mike Davis. But yes, but then, yes, then there was the errant letter. I think you are correct. It was it was Collins, and I can't remember who they sent it to or where it went, but yes, there were some bad things that took place there. But what's lined up in the big program today, John?
So, hey, Jake, we got Rake Straw. We got a lot of stuff we just talked about. Not that particular stuff, but a lot of college stuff with Greg's going to join us, too. We've got Dan Wetzel of ESPN. We'll talk college football. He's right there in the epicenter of that sexual mess with the former Michigan head coach. And think about that, the former Michigan football coach and what his week was like last week. We'll get into that and Heisman Mendoza with Fernando Mendoza. And here's one for you. Peter Billingsley, Ralphie from A Christmas Story is going to join us today at 4:30.
How awesome is that?
Messy Marvin.
How awesome is that?
That's great.
Very cool.
They got the Mirai Egyptian room. They're going to screen A Christmas Story, and then he's going to do a Q&A with the audience afterwards coming up on Thursday. I've got passes for you as well regarding that, but he's going to come on today at 4. Hopefully, I mean, I think he's had other times he's supposed to have been on, and we haven't had him on yet. So I've got my fingers crossed for Ralphie. And if he doesn't show up today, Jake, I'm getting a big bar of soap and sticking that in his mouth whenever I see him.
That's right. Sick the Bumpus' dogs on him. That's right. All right, John, we'll throw it out to you at Twin Peaks down in Greenwood here shortly.
Got it, buddy.
I loved A Christmas Story, and Shannon Walsh, not a fan of it, but every year on Christmas Eve, that is the one disagreement we have when we fight over the remote. Because I'm like, no, we got to go back to it. And she's like, you've seen it. I'm like, I know. I saw it in the movie theater with Jay Ferguson in 1983. Loved every minute of it. Loved every minute of it. All right, we will be back with you at noon tomorrow. Thanks again, Stephen Holder. Thanks, Scott Agness. Thanks, Kyle Neddenrip. Back with you at noon tomorrow. John up next from Twin Peaks, and I thank you for listening to Query & Company.
Welcome to Wawa. We're open 24/7, so when the sun